43, introduced earlier today, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?
Reserving the right to object.
The senator from Wisconsin is recognized.
Mr. President, again, I'll condense my remarks because so much of what I want to say I already said to the senator from Maryland. I think it's interesting that the senator from Michigan supports the senator from Maryland's bill, which is a more comprehensive bill, I think, as I, again, only saw this now, but hopefully I get it right. But I think yours is just limited to the time period from the shutdown until the bill is passed, and then we're in the same situation. You know, if the shutdown continues, hopefully it won't. You know there's a way of doing it. Just vote for the clean CR. But again, I really don't want to object to these bills, but in this case,
Welcome in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. That's Carlene Bragg right in front of me.
Welcome back.
It is good to be back.
We missed you.
I missed you guys. Look, I had to take a few days off.
You didn't miss us.
I did miss y'all.
Okay.
Trust me.
You can lie to me. It's fine.
Okay, I'll lie.
You're lying to me right now.
I will lie to you. I missed y'all.
I missed you so much.
Missed you guys. No, it's good to be back. It's good to get in the workflow. Just kind of took some time just to slow down.
You gotta ease
pause,
into
not
it.
check any emails. Not
Right.
Really just, it was really peaceful. It was a staycation. Staycation.
Good for you.
I feel like every time I take time off, it is, I'm going somewhere. I'm traveling
Right.
somewhere. And then I have to come back and then I have to decompress. It was one big decompression.
You don't have to do all that every time you take off. You can stay right
It
here.
was good enjoying rent.
Enjoying rent.
It was good. It was good. But I'm glad to be back. Glad to be at work, working with Carlene. I've seen Jane earlier. She's back from a week plus off.
Yeah.
Her second sabbatical of the year. But yeah. But let's get to it. So look, we have a lot going on today. I say this all the time, but that is no lie at all. Look, we have some big news out of the NBA that we broke here on Live Impact News this morning. That big news is Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard, also former Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier, among 34 charged in connection with schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia. That's according to authorities. Some big, heavy
Sounds
charges.
like a movie. Jane and I listened to the whole thing this morning, and our heads were swimming in it.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And look, I broke this down to a couple of people in the newsroom. I think people are just trying to wrap their heads around what is actually going on. It's a lot of moving parts at play. Just to give you a little bit further background. So Rozier is accused of participating in an illegal sports betting scheme using private insider NBA information. That's according to officials. Now, Billups is charged in a separate indictment alleging a wide-ranging scheme to rig underground poker games that were backed by mafia families. That's according to authorities. We heard from authorities this morning, a couple of hours after all of this news came out. In case you missed it, was taking you out to that press conference.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Joseph Nocella. I am the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. I'd like to welcome you here today. In addition, we have with us today FBI Director Kash Patel, FBI Assistant Director in Charge Christopher Rea of the New York Field Office, Special Agent in Charge of the New York Field Office Leslie Bakshies, New York Special Agent in Charge of Homeland Security Ricky Patel, Newark Special Agent in Charge of Homeland Security Michael McCarty, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny, and the Executive Director of the Waterfront Commission, Phoebe Sorrell. I'm now going to turn the podium over to FBI Director Kash Patel.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchesi crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States Attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Cosa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people from money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where card games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nosella. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patel. To be clear, we're announcing today indictments in two major cases, both involving fraud. One involves sports betting, and the other involves illegal gambling, very specifically rigged poker games. The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The second indictment involves 31 defendants alleged to have participated in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra. While the cases are separate, there are 3 overlapping defendants charged in both cases: Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon. The indictments in these cases contain only allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law. But my message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that. First, I would like to talk about United States versus Ernest, the NBA basketball gambling case. The defendants in this case are Eric Ernest, Marvez Farley, Shane Hennon, Danilo Laster, Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach, and Terry Rozier, a current NBA player. Other co-conspirators were previously charged for their roles in the scheme, including former NBA player Jontay Porter. Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. They relied on corrupt individuals, including Jones and Rozier. They also misused information obtained through long-standing friendships that they had with NBA players and coaches. And in at least one instance, they got their information by threatening a current player, Porter, because of his pre-existing gambling debts. Defendants used this non-public information to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets, mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The bets were placed through online sports books and also in person at casinos. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. The defendants then laundered their illegal winnings in various ways: peer-to-peer platforms, bank wires, and simple cash exchanges. The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers. Each defendant in the NBA basketball gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case. Beginning as early as 2019, the defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator sent the information via cell phone back to a co-conspirator at the table, and that person at the table was known as the quarterback. The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from others to others at the table, and together they used that information in order to win their games and to cheat the victims. Defendants used other cheating technologies such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards, and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table. What you see depicted on the screen right now is an example of the X-ray table that reveals the cards. Although they are face down on the table, they can be read because of the X-ray technology. The Mafia, specifically members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese organized crime families, had pre-existing control over non-rigged, illegal poker games around New York City. As a result, they also became involved in the rigged poker games, helping to organize the games and taking a cut of the proceedings, and working to enforce the collection of debts. The defendants laundered their proceeds, including through cash exchanges, the use of multiple shell companies, and through cryptocurrency transfers. As part of the scheme, some of the defendants and their co-conspirators also committed acts of violence, including the gunpoint robbery of a person in order to obtain a rigged shuffling machine, and extortions that were perpetrated against victims in order to ensure that they repaid their gambling debts. Defendants who participated in the rigged poker scheme are charged with wire fraud conspiracy. Other defendants have been charged with crimes including illegal gambling.
All right, so you're watching the press conference from earlier, the FBI and authorities talking about this case involving Portland Trailblazer head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, former Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier, who are among the 34 charged in connection with schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the Mafia. That's according to authorities, and that was part of that press conference that you just heard. We're going to get back to that press conference. I do want to read to you a statement that NBA released just minutes ago, about 30 minutes ago. Take a look at this. This is what the NBA posted on X. It reads, quote, "We are in the process of reviewing the federal indictments announced today. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their teams, and we will continue to cooperate with the relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority." Again, that is a statement released just moments ago from the NBA. All right, so we're going to take a step aside. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. Carlene Bragg is here in studio. We want to get back out to that press conference that we were showing you earlier. You probably caught it this morning, but in case you missed it, let me catch you up. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard and former Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier are among 34 charged in connection with schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia, according to authorities. This is a video and a look at Terry Rozier, again, former Charlotte Hornets guard. Now, we did get a statement from the NBA, and it reads, quote, "We are in the process of reviewing the federal indictments announced today. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their teams, and we will continue to cooperate with the relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority." We want to get back now to that press conference from the FBI this morning. Let's take a listen in.
This case demonstrates our office's unrelenting commitment to fighting the scourge of organized crime in whatever form it takes. I'd like to conclude my remarks by thanking the incredible hard work of our law enforcement partners, including the FBI, Homeland Security, the NYPD, and the Waterfront Commission. I also want to thank the dedicated prosecutors who built these two cases and who are standing to my right. Benjamin Weintraub, David Bourbon, Caitlin Farrell, Michael Gibaldi, Irisa Chen, and Sean Sherman. They had the assistance of paralegal specialists Liam McNett, John Schneider, Marlene Bosler. Also deserving of our thanks because of their outstanding investigative work on the NBA case are FBI Special Agents Russell Lantier, Dominic Mariani, Amy Giaroso, Shane Wilkins, and Supervisory Special Agent Luke Hardison. On the rigged poker game scheme, outstanding work was performed by FBI Special Agents Thomas Cribbin, Jeff Boriola, Jonathan Corona, Alexander Silverman, Amy Campanaro, and Supervisory Special Agent Michael Malahi, as well as NYPD Task Officer James McCullough, and from Homeland Security, Supervisory Special Agent Charles Freund, and from the Waterfront Commission, Detective Paul Shimborski. Finally, I want to note that the investigations in both cases are ongoing, and we encourage anyone with information about either scheme to please contact the FBI. Now I would like to turn the podium over to Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office, I should say the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office of the FBI, Christopher Rea. Chris?
All right, thank you, Joe. As always, we appreciate the partnership here. Can't do any of this without you and your team, so thank you. Also want to publicly thank the director for coming down from D.C. The director's a very busy person, and for him to come down should tell you the importance of this historic case. I'm Christopher Rea, the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI New York Field Office. Today, as you've heard, our office conducted a massive nationwide takedown from 2 indictments of 34 defendants for their alleged involvement in 2 separate illegal poker and sports betting schemes where, as you heard, the odds were rigged in their favor. Among these defendants are 13 members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families, to include capos and soldiers from these families. Additionally, as you heard, current and former NBA coaches and players are also implicated, to include Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier. 3 of the named defendants are charged for their alleged roles in both schemes. This alleged illegal gambling operation hustled unwitting victims out of tens of millions of dollars and created a financial pipeline for La Cosa Nostra to help fund and facilitate their organized criminal activity. Victims were attracted to play alongside well-known professional athletes and coaches like Chauncey Billups, only to be unknowingly deceived through rigged shuffling machines, fixing the odds in their favor, as alleged, and as you just heard from the U.S. Attorney's Office. This alleged scheme wreaked havoc across the nation, exploiting the notoriety of some and the wallets of many to fund the Italian crime families here in New York. Let me be clear about this fact. The FBI has not and will never take their eye off the ball when it comes to Italian organized crime in this city, specifically the LCN and the 5 families here in New York. We are not going to permit any criminal enterprise, whether it be Italian organized crime, Asian organized crime, Eurasian organized crime, we're not going to permit any of those organized crimes, families, and organizations to operate in our city or our country, as evidenced by the 11 states that were also participating in this operation today. The FBI office here in New York remains As with most cases we've worked, this is only the tip of the iceberg for the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office. Our LCN squad agents and analysts are continuing to work day and night with the Eastern District of New York to ensure members and associates of the 5 families cannot continue to wreak havoc in our communities. Today would not have been possible without the tireless efforts and dedication of the FBI New York Eurasian Organized Crime Task Force, which, as you heard, was led by Supervisory Special Agent Luke Hardison, and the Italian Organized Task Force, which was led by Supervisory Special Agent Mike Malahi. And coincidentally, Supervisory Special Agent Malahi is going out on a positive as he is retiring at the end of this month for 30 years of dedicated service to the FBI, and that deserves a hand. He's what we call a legend here at FBI New York. Additionally, obviously, we cannot do this alone without our partners. I want to extend my appreciation to Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, Ricky Patel. Of course, we do nothing in this city without the NYPD. New York City Police Department Commissioner Jesse Tisch, thank you, ma'am, for all your work and all your resources that you dedicated to this. And New York Waterfront Commissioner Phoebe Soriel for their agency's assistance and support throughout this lengthy and complex investigation. Our collective efforts ensured these subjects will face accountability, like the director said, for their alleged wrongdoings. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to Special Agent in charge of HSI, Ricky Patel.
Thanks, Chris. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricky Patel. I'm the Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in New York. This morning, hundreds of special agents and investigators with HSI, the FBI, the New York Waterfront Commission, and the NYPD descended upon the homes of individuals who for years have operated with the false sense of impunity, a false sense of incivility. In the early hours of today, across 9 states coast to coast, dozens of defendants were arrested and will face the consequences of their alleged crimes. This was their wake-up call. With the alleged involvement of 3 La Cosa Nostra crime families, 1 NBA head coach, a Hall of Famer, no less, and former NBA players, the years of investigative work that culminated with this morning's operation seem reminiscent of a Hollywood movie. But this wasn't luck, and this wasn't theatrics. This was an evidence-driven, relentless, and unified effort among law enforcement. Through what we have dubbed Operation Royal Flush, HSI New York, along with our task force personnel from the Waterfront Commission, first uncovered this scheme more than 4 years ago. Agents and investigators dedicated countless hours and sleepless nights in identifying the criminal network, dissecting communications and patterns, and following the money with precision. We built a case, piece by piece, and what we discovered was a sprawling criminal enterprise that utilized cutting-edge technology and various methods of deception to dupe unsuspecting gamblers into paying up, so that these defendants could cash out. As alleged, this sophisticated conspiracy cheated victims out of at least $7 million and placed the public and the defendants alike at risk. This case involved global reach, financial depth, and the patience to dismantle complex financial criminal enterprises from the inside out. When criminal organizations attempt to launder profits through our country, HSI connects the dots and shuts it down. To anyone who thinks intimidation, fraud, or violence will shield their profits, understand this. If you are exploiting our communities, expect HSI and all of our law enforcement partners at your door. I would like to thank all our partners here today. Obviously, the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York, the Waterfront Commission, the FBI, the NYPD, and the prosecutors that will carry this forward. Today's arrests are not an endpoint. They are the start of accountability. Thank you, and I now turn it over to Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
Good morning. Thank you to Director Patel, Assistant Director Rea, and U.S. Attorney Nocella. What we're announcing today is not just another takedown. It's the result of more than 2 years of coordinated investigative work by the NYPD's Joint Organized Crime Task Force and the FBI. 2 cases that exposed criminal networks led by 34 individuals who believe the rules did not apply to them. They hid behind layers of complexity, behind money, and behind influence, believing those things would shield them from accountability. The first case, Operation Nothing But Bet, exposed a gambling ring built around professional basketball, where players and associates allegedly used inside information to manipulate prop bets on major sports betting platforms. They placed wagers on unders on players to score less, rebound less, assist less, using information that was not yet public. In some instances, players altered their performance or took themselves out of games to make sure that those bets paid out. One example occurred on March 23, 2023 in Charlotte. Terry Rozier, an NBA player now with the Miami Heat, but at the time playing for the Hornets, allegedly let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with a supposed injury. Using that information, members of the group placed more than $200,000 in wagers on his under statistics. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash. As the NBA season tips off, his career is already benched, not for injury, but for integrity. As a result of this investigation, 6 defendants, including Rozier, are now facing conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In a second case, Operation Zen Diagram, investigators uncovered a long-running scheme in which members and associates of several well-known organized crime families rigged high-stakes poker games across the country. These operatives included capos and multiple soldiers from the Bonanno, Gambino, Lucchese, and Genovese crime families, bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep and how far this investigation reached and the skill and the persistence it took to get here. That work uncovered a deliberate, technologically sophisticated operation designed to carry out their crimes. They used custom shuffling machines that could read the order of cards, barcoded decks, and hidden cameras built into tables and light fixtures. The organizers also enlisted well-known public figures, former and current NBA players and coaches, including Chauncey Billups, the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, an NBA champion and a Hall of Famer, to make the games appear legitimate. Victims believed that they were sitting at a fair table. Instead, they were cheated out of millions. One victim in particular lost $1.8 million. In total, losses exceeded $7 million and continue to climb. And when people refused to pay, these defendants did what organized crime has always done. They used threats, they used intimidation, and they used violence. It's the same pattern that we have seen for decades. Traditional mob enforcement methods combined with new technology to expand the reach of their operations. Now, with the unsealing of today's indictment, 34 individuals are facing charges including robbery, extortion, money laundering, wire fraud, bank fraud, and illegal gambling. I want to commend the outstanding work of our detectives from the Joint Organized Crime Task Force and their dedication to these cases, especially Captain Ruben Pagan, Sergeant Chris McGuire, Detective Alexander Creamer, Detective James McCullough, and of course our Chief of Detectives, Chief Kenny. As part of these investigations, our members recovered and reviewed thousands of hours of video, conducted extensive surveillance on illegal gambling locations across the city, and executed more than 24 search warrants on electronic records.
All right, so that is a press conference from earlier with officials and the FBI regarding a case involving NBA head coach, Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups, also involving Terry Rozier, Miami Heat guard, former Charlotte Hornets guard. Terry Rozier arrested along with 30 other people in 2 criminal cases alleging separate schemes to rake in millions by rigging sports bets and poker games involving mafia families. That's according to authorities. So we want to step away from that, and we want to go to, if we still have it, but as we work to get it back, we have a. Yeah, so we're going to take a step aside. We'll take a quick break where we have a press conference happening now in Raleigh. Actually, it just popped up. Let's take you there. So Bishop William Barber II is holding a press conference alongside For Justice organization in North Carolina to challenge the newly proposed redistricting maps, which they say, quote, weaken the political power of rural and low wealth communities. Let's take a listen in. As we work to get the shot, bear with us for a second, but let's see if we can get the shot back. All right, so it looks like we're having some problems with that feed. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene is also here in studio. We want to get you back. We had the feed sorted out. This is North Carolina community leaders in front of the General Assembly right now. They are speaking out against the newly proposed congressional maps. They say, quote, that weakens the political power of rural and low-wealth communities. That is Bishop William Barber II speaking, well-known activist, pastor here in North Carolina. Let's take a listen into what he is saying and what others will say following this.
And then I want to announce today that we will begin today plans for a massive moral march on Raleigh in February. In February 2014, when they were doing similar things, we put nearly 100,000 people in the street. We will begin today calling for thousands and thousands of people from the mountains to the coast, the second weekend in February, to begin on that day a massive mobilization of people to exercise their vote. The truth is, we need to call on 75 to 80% of black voters and poor and low-wage voters to turn out like never before. This is a direct attack on the state's black belt district and marginalized communities. Now, why are we going to battle like this? Why do you see young folk out here today and older people, and some with gray hairs and some with canes and some without them? Why is it? Why are you looking at black and white and brown people standing out here on this grass today? Congress election 2026 is the midterm. Destin Hall, the speaker, was very clear. His name is Destin, right? Very clear. Is that his name, Destin? I want to make sure I pronounce it right. But he was clear about his intentions to draw another Republican seat at the request of the president. If I wasn't a preacher, I'd say, what in the hell? They claim they believe in states' rights. That's not states' rights. That's presidential federalism. That's right. Here's what he said. President Trump earned a clear mandate. That's a lie. We're going to talk about that in a minute. From the voters of North Carolina and the rest of the country. That's not true. And we intend to defend it by drawing an additional Republican congressional seat. Now, members of the media, they are trying to make you think that this is partisan, but they know it's racial.
That's right. That's right.
They know it's racial. The data that they have is racial. And they're trying to cover it under partisanism. It's no accident that they are doing this at the same moment when an annual American Value Survey says 56% of Americans, 2/3 of independents, say that they see Trump as a dangerous dictator. It's no accident that they're doing this after 7 million Americans took to the streets past weekend to say no kings. It's no accident that they are scrambling to consolidate power as millions of Americans are about to lose health care because of the big, ugly, deadly, destructive bill. It is no accident that they would pass these maps and go home and not even do the budget. Because they don't want North Carolina to see why they really want power, and that is to be an arm of the billionaires and the greedy. They want to control power. It's undemocratic. It started, however, in 2010. This is the story I want us to all hear. President Trump only won North Carolina's electoral vote by a margin of 51 to 48. That's not a massive mandate. It was almost a 50-50 split. It was 183,000 votes, but there were over 1.2 million voters in North Carolina that did not even vote. What you see now started in 2010 when they first decided to try to use a Republican majority to take over the House and the Senate and the Congress representation through redistricting because the governor cannot veto it. And they passed a map in 2010 that should have been stopped by the U.S. Justice Department and wasn't. And later on, we beat them in court. Think about that. We beat them in court. And when the courts won in 2022 and there were fairer maps, the election turned out 7-7 for the Congressional House. 7 Democrats with fair maps. We know that the court said about the things they did in 2010 and 2013, it was surgical racism with surgical precision. In the 2024 statewide race for the North Carolina Supreme Court Justice, it came down to a margin of 734 votes out of the millions that were cast. And that one loss allowed the now partisan court. Our courts used to not be partisan. We got to make sure we understand what's really going on here. Now they're partisan. And they use that one vote partisan to overturn the decision that the courts had already made about the racially drawn maps. As recent as I said in 2022, the congressional delegation was split 7-7. However, due to this 2023 ruling of the North Carolina Supreme Court after that vote that produced a margin of victory of 734 votes, they said that the state courts, now listen, have no authority to review claims of partisan gerrymandering. That's why they keep saying it's partisan. Because they made a ruling. The ruling is not true. There's nothing in the Constitution that says that. I read it again this morning. In the Section 6 about election, it doesn't say what they're saying. The preamble doesn't say what they're saying. Article 1 doesn't say what they're saying. They're just saying what they're saying, hoping that the media won't do a deep dive and tell everybody else that they're lying. And so they said that the courts of the state, the Supreme Court, with this 1-vote margin, 2-vote margin, had free reign as long as it's partisan. That's why they won't say anything about race. But you don't just judge something as being racist if the person uses the term black or brown or Asian or native or a worse word. You look at the impact. And what they have done will directly impact the black belt of North Carolina. Republicans are now seeking to obtain an 11-3 majority because they can't win any other way by cheating. That would mean that nearly 80% of North Carolina's U.S. House seats would be held by Republicans, which does not reflect the will of the voters of this state. Speaker Hall and his colleagues are solely focused on more seats for the GOP and Trump maintaining as much power as possible, and has said nothing.
All right, so that is Bishop William Barber II speaking out along with other community leaders in North Carolina regarding congressional maps here in North Carolina. So just to give you some context, North Carolina lawmakers gave final approval on Wednesday to a revised U.S. House map backed by President Donald Trump that is intended to help Republicans win an additional seat in next year's elections, which are the midterm elections. A lot at stake there. So he is speaking out on this along with other leaders there in front of the General Assembly there in Raleigh. So that is happening. But we want to come back here at home. We want to talk about a story happening in Mecklenburg County, Huntersville specifically. So you may, if you're familiar with Huntersville, you know this development, Birkdale Village. Well, now Birkdale Village has new owners. WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson, Huntersville's own Walker Lawson, covering the story for us. Walker, what can you tell us about this?
Well, yeah, so Birkdale has officially been sold. It is now Heinz is the company that owns it, not the ketchup brand, a real estate company based out of Houston, Texas. But so yeah, the big deal behind this, really, why this is so significant for Birkdale being purchased is just back in March of this year, there was a rezoning request from the previous developer of the property known as Jamestown, which they basically rezoned the property to build a hotel, among other retail spaces, and there was a lot of pushback from residents here. A lot of people already feel as if this roadway behind me is difficult enough to get on. It's already hard enough. As someone that lives in Huntersville, parking in Birkdale is beyond difficult. So for a lot of people, there was, to them, no real understanding for why more development needed to happen. In the meeting, they basically presented that there would be more parking spaces with this project. All in all, there was a lot of pushback on the rezoning request of the site in Birkdale, but it still got approved. At that time, residents had told me they were very concerned that that Jamestown was going to sell this property, and sure enough, they have sold Birkdale, and it is now going to a new developer. Again, as said, that is Heinz, based out of Houston.
Yeah, a big development there in Huntersville. So you can catch Walker at 4 and 5. Walker, thank you for your time, man.
Of course, thank you.
All right, so we are going to take a step aside. We're going to head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. Carlene is also here in studio. We want to take you back out now to Raleigh, where that is Reverend William Barber II. He is speaking along with other community leaders in North Carolina behind him. They are right there in front of the General Assembly. So this comes, and they're speaking out against the congressional maps right here in North Carolina. Big topic, not only in North Carolina, but in other states. But here in North Carolina, lawmakers gave final approval Wednesday to a revised U.S. House map backed by President Donald Trump that is intended to help Republicans win an additional seat in next year's election. The new congressional map reshapes the state's only current swing district held by Democratic U.S. Representative Don Davis. So his district is Northeast North Carolina. Covered his race back a few years ago when he first was elected, taking over for G.K. Butterfield. Let's take a listen into what Reverend Barber is saying.
Back together, we are tired of folk playing with our power and our votes in this state. Yeah. Especially because you scared. Yeah. It's a shame for a political party to be this scared. You can't make your case to the people. You know that they won't vote for you, so you cheat and you cheat and you cheat. Too many regions have seen their voices diluted and dismissed and flat out denied repeatedly. Think about all these map changes in the last 10 years, y'all. Since the last 12 years, since 2013. Over and over, they keep going back. That is why the lawyers who are here today are prepared to sue, because we demand transparency, we demand a fair process, and we demand a protection for multiracial coalition. You may want an all-white extremist mega America, but we don't. We want black and white and brown and Asian and Latino together. We celebrate our diversity as a strength. And we don't want to go back to the past. We want to move forward in the future with more unity and more commitment and fairness all the way. That's why this is wrong under our state constitution. I want to call on the media to put copies of that constitution on your news shows and show the people that the constitution doesn't say anything about what they're doing. It's wrong under the federal constitution. This is not equal protection under the law, and we must make sure the record is clear. We must also be clear about the political reality of this authoritarian moment. These people who claim to be our representatives are doing this even though they know it's illegal. All they're doing is doing it because they've got the power to do it. They're doing it all because they're afraid. They're doing it because they understand how strong our power is. They're scared of this kind of coalition. They're scared of the diversity. And they are doing it because they remember how when Moral Mondays was born in North Carolina in 2013, and when a moral fusion movement of people came together from the coast to the mountains and challenged the authoritarian takeover of our state, and we did it, and we put thousands and thousands and thousands of people in the General Assembly and in voting boxes and in ballot boxes, they saw what could happen. And what we must do now is remember what we did then and decide now is the time for us to do it again. And not only in North Carolina, but all over the South. We must declare that the Southern strategy is over and the moral fusion movement is on the rise, and the South is going to rise again, but it's not going to rise like it used to rise. It's going to rise in unity, it's going to rise in togetherness, it's going to rise in power for all people. Now I want to tell y'all something as I close that they're not telling you. Sophisticated data makes it possible for politicians in power to identify what they call slices of voters. And they think they don't need from one district to overcome a margin of victory in another district. But all of the data is based on, listen now, depressed electorates that rarely turn out more than 45% of eligible voters. In 2018, when Democrats won a landslide in the House, the turnout was only 50%. Hear me now. If legislators are willing to bow to Trump's demand that they gerrymander districts to favor extremists and MAGA Republicans, then every American has a moral obligation to turn out like we've never seen it before. The truth of the matter is we don't know what it would look like if 70 or 80% of voters turned out, but it's time to find out. It's time to find out. It's time to say that we're no longer going to be satisfied with these low turnout midterms. It's time to tell everybody that we know there's no such thing as an election off. There's time right now we need to say to folk during the election time and on election day, take off the day and get people to the polls. We need the most massive turnout of voters we've ever seen in the history of this state. In fact, there's some posters that are calling this dummy mander. Because they've looked at the numbers. And they say that if folk are drunk enough on power to think they can gerrymander one more seat, then we got to be organized enough to turn this into dummy mander. And dummy mander says, like we used to say down in the East and they used to say in the mountains, don't poke the bear and wake him up.
All right.
Because if you poke him and wake him up, you got trouble on your hands. Well, somebody needs to announce, we are, you thought you were afraid of woke. We are sure enough woke now. Black and white and brown together. Remember how McCory was beat at the ballot? Thought he couldn't be beat, but a massive turnout happened? That's why on November the 2nd, we are launching a massive voter mobilization campaign starting in Wilson and mass meetings, and we're going to go all over those counties down east, and we need to see that happening all over the state. You don't have to wait on me. You don't have to wait on any one individual. It's time to come together and call for mass voter registration and mobilization like never before. We want the lines to be as long as they were in South Africa when South Africans first got right. It's time. You don't beat authoritarianism, but with apathy. You beat authoritarianism by standing up and using every nonviolent tool at your disposal, especially voting and speaking out and the right to assemble. Are you ready? You need to know after the Civil War, black and white folk came together.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. That is Reverend William Barber II. He, along with fellow community leaders and members, are rallying outside of the General Assembly there in downtown Raleigh, speaking out on the new congressional maps here in North Carolina, just approved yesterday. So that is happening live. That's been happening now, Carlene, for what, the past 30 minutes or so? So if that is still happening, we'll get back to that. But we want to get to a story that's happening in our area, a story that is a few years in the making. I'm talking about Atrium Health. So back a few years ago, Atrium Health was seeking state approval for millions of dollars for a satellite hospital in Cabarrus County. Ended up getting it, and now is basically into fruition. WCNC Charlotte's Bria Smith is in Harrisburg covering this story. This new hospital there in Harrisburg. Tell us about it. What does it mean for that community to have it?
So it's operating kind of like a freestanding ER. So it's not like a full service hospital or emergency room that people might go to. So this expansion that the state has approved for Atrium to bring here to this hospital here in Harrisburg it'll be just that, a full service hospital. Now, something that it is interesting, I had the chance to speak with the town manager, Robert Dunham, who says that, people have to drive to Concord because that's the only full service hospital in Cabarrus County. So for people in this area, it's a little bit of a drive away. Having this expansion in this full service hospital would mean that people don't have to drive as far if they are in emergency room. So that transport time is cut down some to whatever drive that might be, but they'll be able to have, and I'm just looking at my notes here, inpatient medical and surgical care, just operating rooms for specialty procedures. So everything that someone might need, they'll be able to get that healthcare here. Now on the economic development, it would also mean that this will bring in more jobs for the area. So it's a win-win on the healthcare side, also on the economic development side.
Yeah, it's big news for a community that needs a hospital. Bria, you can catch Bria. Thank you. That's what I was going to say. Bria, thank you. But you can catch Bria at 4:30 and 6. Bria, again, thank you for your time.
Absolutely, thank y'all.
All right, so we want to get back out to D.C. So happening right now in Washington, D.C., we're hearing from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, our weekly White House briefing that's happening right now. Let's take a listen in to what she's saying.
Only compounds that stress and threatens the efficiency of our skies. The Airline Pilots Association International, which represents more than 80,000 pilots, is sounding the alarm as well. They said this shutdown is undermining our system's safety. Resources are stretched thin, negotiations are delayed, and strain grows daily. With the Thanksgiving holiday approaching, we are nearing the busiest travel period of the entire year, when millions of Americans will go to airports to spend time with their loved ones. Let us be very clear from the White House today. If the Democrats continue to keep the government closed, we fear there will be significant flight delays, disruptions, and cancellations in major airports across the country this holiday season. If Democrats continue to shut down the government, they will also be shutting down American air travel. The White House is in constant communication with the air traffic controllers, with the airline associations, and with them, we urge Democrats to please pass the continuing resolution so we can just end this madness in this chaos and reopen the government. These are very avoidable consequences. The unnecessary pain, unfortunately, does not end there. Funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP, which provides food benefits to low-income families, is beginning to lapse this week in some states. If Democrats continue to hold Americans hostage, there will not be enough funds to provide SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans on November 1st. That is next week. Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded health care benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals. During the 4 years of Joe Biden's administration, the Democrats forced Border Patrol to admit illegal aliens into our country with no legal status and minimal screening. A significant number of these individuals are the worst of the worst criminals: rapists, pedophiles, murderers, and even members of the terrorist watch list. Despite having no legal status, paroled aliens were able to file for work authorization, receive Social Security numbers, and access other benefits like Medicaid that are meant for Americans. Since I have found many in this room to repeatedly deny the reality that Democrats gave Medicaid benefits to illegals, and they continue to seek to do just that, I've brought a few verified examples for you today. These are examples of some of the illegals who received Medicaid benefits under President Biden's leadership, and this is what Democrats are wanting to do. This is why they are continuing to keep the government closed. An illegal alien from Laos was arrested for murder, robbery, and felony possession of a firearm. An illegal alien from Guatemala who was arrested for rape and burglary. An illegal alien from El Salvador who was arrested for strangulation, DUI, and burglary. An illegal alien from Mexico who was arrested for attempted murder. The Democrats' open border policies allowed these threats into our country, and then they provided them with free health care. The president and Republicans, through the One Big Beautiful Bill, implemented a common sense reform to end this fraudulent scheme. But that's why the Democrats are continuing to shut down the federal government. They are trying to reverse this and restore taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens like these. Throughout this shutdown, Democrats have said this quiet part out loud. Senator Chuck Schumer, the leader of the caucus that is refusing to open the government, said, quote, "Every day gets better as the shutdown continues." Ask the air traffic controllers if every day is getting better, Senator Schumer, and they will tell you absolutely not. House Democrat Catherine Clark said, "There are going to be families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility seriously, but this is one of the few leverage points that we have." Here is a House Democrat who is admitting that they are using Americans who are suffering as political leverage. And Senator Bernie Sanders said, "If you reopen the government, we lose our leverage." This is pure partisan games. A senior Democrat aide said the party will not end the shutdown, quote, "short of planes falling out of the sky." That is truly a disturbing statement. The Democrats clearly don't care about this suffering. They care about playing political games against President Trump, and this dangerous charade needs to end. The president and Republicans' position has been clear and unchanged. Pass a clean, nonpartisan funding bill to reopen the government. And then we can talk about all of the partisan issues that the Democrats wish to. If you're watching at home, we urge you to call your Democrat senators and tell them to put our country over their party and reopen the government today. Here in our new media seat, we have Brittany Gibson of Axios. Brittany, why don't you start us off for our Q&A today? Thank you for being here.
Two questions, if I may, Caroline. First is, we understand that the president and Republicans will not negotiate on ACA extensions until the government reopens. If and when that happens, what does the president think should be, or what are his plans for preventing rising healthcare costs for Americans?
It's a very good question, and I'll leave that to the president to negotiate that when Democrats vote to reopen the government. When it comes to lowering healthcare costs, the president is deeply committed to this. It's why he has spent so much time and effort negotiating with Big Pharma to lower the healthcare costs of prescription drugs. All of you have been in the Oval Office for multiple different announcements. We've had these most favored nations deals with these large pharmaceutical companies committing to lowering drug costs in this country. So it's something the president wants to do. And Brittany, one more point. I'll just point out the irony in Democrats holding the government and the American public hostage over a healthcare system that they created. The healthcare system was called Obamacare. Why? Because Democrats and President Obama implemented. And Republicans have always said it's a broken system, yes, but they caused it, and now they want to shut down the government to fix it. We need to open the government, and then we can have these very important conversations about health care.
The second, on H-1Bs and foreign students, during the campaign, President Trump said he wanted to make it easier for foreign students to work at U.S. companies, staple a green card to every diploma. But the changes from several agencies now on H-1Bs are adding more obstacles to that. The administration is being sued over those changes. Can you explain the changes in the president's thinking on H-1Bs?
Administration will fight these lawsuits in court. The president's main priority has always been to put American workers first and also to strengthen our visa system. We know for far too long the H-1B visa system has been spammed with fraud, basically, and that's driven down American wages. So the president wants to refine this system, which is part of the reason he implemented these new policies. These actions are lawful, they are necessary, and we'll continue to fight this battle in court. Garrett.
Two questions on different topics, if you'll
Sure.
indulge me. On the pardon of Changpeng Zhao, and apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name, Binance has significant business interests with World Liberty Financial, the president's family's crypto company. How do you respond to the allegations from Democrats that this is a corrupt act?
I would respond and say the president is exercising his constitutional authority to grant clemency requests. And the president and the White House have a very thorough examination of every pardon request that comes to the president's desk. It is thoroughly reviewed by the White House Counsel Office, and I spoke with our great White House counsel about the pardon after it happened. This was an overly prosecuted case by the Biden administration. Even the judge in the case admitted that the Biden administration was pursuing a egregious over-sentencing of this individual, and the previous administration was very hostile to the cryptocurrency industry. So the president wants to correct this overreach of the Biden administration's misjustice, and he exercised his constitutional authority to do so. And to the Democrats, I would just say there's nothing more corrupt than what President Biden did on his way out the door, pardoning his extremely corrupt son and many of his associates.
On the ballroom, first of which will probably be several questions about this today, I imagine.
Is it a big story?
It seems that way. The president's cost estimate has changed several times. I think it's up to $300 million now. Given the nature of all this, will the White House commit to releasing all of the donors and how much they're spending and how much of his own money the president is putting on the line to this?
We have released the full list of donors thus far. Perhaps there will be more people who want to generously contribute to this project. And the president, yes, has committed his own resources. And when he releases that information, which I'm very confident he will, you will all see that.
We'll see a dollar figure from the president?
Yes, he will. And I would also just add the president has been incredibly transparent. I would reject any notion otherwise when it comes to this ballroom project. It's something he personally has obviously taken an interest into and has talked with all of you in this room many times about. You have seen the model in the Oval Office. Last night he showed that for you. But when this plan was presented and when these renderings, as soon as they were complete, the president directed me to come out here and to share them with all of you. I did an entire opening remarks about what this ballroom project was going to look like. With any construction project, there are changes over time as you assess what the project is going to look like, and we'll continue to keep you apprised of all of those changes, but just trust the process. This is going to be a magnificent addition to the White House for many years to come, and it's not costing the taxpayers anything. The president is privately funding this ballroom addition to the White House grounds. Jennifer.
To follow up on that, one thing that's not in the president's model is the East Wing bunker, the president's emergency operations center. Can you say if his update, that $300 million, does that include the cost for upgrading that bunker?
Look, like any security enhancements that are made on the White House grounds, those will be made and maintained by United States Secret Service. As for the cost of the ballroom and the construction itself, all of that is going to be, like I've said, privately funded and paid for by the president himself and many generous patriots who have stepped up.
Is included in that funding? Correct. Okay, and then can you say, well, that's all right, I'll skip that one.
Thanks. Ouija. Okay.
So the White House has explained that the reason you didn't submit construction plans to the NCPC is because that commission, along with others, don't have oversight over demolitions, but only over construction. And so far, you haven't built anything. So can you help us understand, can the president tear down anything he wants without oversight? Could he demolish this building or, say, the Jefferson Memorial?
So it's not the president who came up with that legal opinion himself. That's a legal opinion that's been held by the NCPC for many years. It's written, so we can get you that background and that research if you wish to include it in your reporting, because it is very important. They have ruled consistently, their general counsel has said, when it comes to phase one of this project, the tearing down of the current East Wing structure, a submission is not required legally for that. Only for vertical construction will a submission be required, and that's a legal opinion from them, and we are following that legal opinion. And again, I would just add, can any president do such a thing to the White House grounds? There have been many presidents in the past who have made their mark on this beautiful White House complex. This briefing room, as you all know, was not once a briefing room. It was a swimming pool. There have been presidents who have completely torn down the executive mansion. If you look at what President Truman did, some of the photos of the construction project that took place in those years, I think sitting here today, we're all grateful for those efforts and the modifications that happened at that time. And again, in due time, the East Wing is going to be more beautiful and modern than ever before. And in addition, there will be a big, beautiful ballroom that can hold big parties and state visits for generations to come.
So it sounds like the answer is yes, he can tear down whatever he wants. And then secondly, I mean...
Ouija, that's not what we're saying. That's a legal opinion that's been held for many years. And
interpreting it.
No, it's something that presidents have done for years and years. In fact, I have some photos here. Thank you, Pat. To show you the construction that's taken place on the White House grounds. This is the construction of the West Wing in 1902. Look at this, the construction of the West Terrace in 1902. These images look quite similar to what you and the American people are seeing today, the construction of the East Terrace as well. You look at the construction of the West Wing expansion in 1934. So look, this is a legal opinion that's been held for many years. Look at, this is 1950.
Yeah,
it
so
looks a lot like what you were seeing today.
Can he demolish anything he wants?
What do you think that
oversight?
rubble is? How did that rubble get there?
Right, so I'm asking, and then back to the donors.
Go ahead, Reagan.
Many of them are...
Two
Reagan,
questions
go
for
ahead.
you, one on immigration and another on Venezuela. It's being reported that the semi-truck driver suspected of killing 3 people in a DUI crash is an illegal immigrant who came in under the Biden administration. Do you know if California gave him a commercial driver's license? And then it also appears that California largely has not been cooperating with English proficiency standards. I'm wondering if the administration has any further plans to punish the state.
Yes, I can confirm that California gave this individual a license, and it is something that the Department of Transportation has already looked into. I know Secretary Duffy, who's doing a phenomenal job, has spoken on this many times in the crackdown that the Department of Transportation is taking on these licenses that are wrongfully being issued to people who clearly do not deserve to uphold these positions. As for this case in California, on October 22nd, ICE lodged an immigration detainer for this individual following his arrest by local authorities in California on charges, as you know, of manslaughter while intoxicated and driving under the influence. He killed 3 people, and he first entered the United States in 2022. through the southern border, and he was released into our country by the previous administration. So now ICE has lodged a separate detainer for this individual, and these tragedies are following a disturbing pattern of these criminal illegal aliens being issued commercial vehicle licenses. And so yes, the Department of Transportation is absolutely cracking down on that. I defer you to them for any specifics.
Venezuela, President Trump has said Maduro doesn't want to mess with the United States, and this administration is continuing to position more military assets towards Venezuela. I'm wondering if the end goal of this narco-terrorist war is to implement a regime change in Venezuela.
The president has spoken on that, Reagan, and I certainly won't get ahead of him. What we've made very clear is that this administration is not going to tolerate international narco-terrorist organizations from trafficking drugs into the United States. And these cartels over time have grown more armed, well-organized, and violent. They have financial means, sophistication, and capabilities needed to operate in the way this administration has. And they have illegally caused the deaths of tens of thousands of American citizens each year. So that's where we are right now with respect to Venezuela, but also any country that is sending purposefully illegal narco-terrorists to the United States of America to bring illegal drugs. Why don't we go in the back?
The U.S. and Colombia relationship right now is at one of its lowest points in decades. We heard what President Gustavo Petro had to say about President Trump. We heard yesterday the response from President Trump. Is there any kind of compromises or gestures from the Colombian president that President Trump would like to see in order to de-escalate the tensions? Is it possible a de-escalation?
I don't think we're seeing de-escalation from the unhinged leader of Colombia right now, and I don't think the president, frankly, is interested in that at this point. He spoke on this yesterday, and I don't have anything to add to his comments. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry. Go ahead.
in addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly, and so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority. Kristen.
Last week, President Trump announced that he had a productive call with Vladimir Putin. They scheduled a meeting in Hungary. Since then, he has canceled the meeting and he has imposed sanctions on Russian oil companies. Can you talk about what changed that led to this dramatic shift, or even just what occurred in the last week that got us from point A to point B?
Sure. Look, the president has always maintained that he would implement sanctions on Russia when he felt it was appropriate and necessary. And yesterday was that day. I think the president has also long expressed his frustration with Vladimir Putin and, frankly, both sides of this war. And he's always said in order to negotiate a good peace deal, both sides need to be interested in a good peace deal. And he feels as though, unfortunately, from the Russian side as of late, he has not seen enough interest and enough action in terms of moving the ball forward towards peace. And so a meeting between these two leaders is not completely off the table. I think the president and the entire administration hopes that one day that can happen again. But we want to make sure that there's a tangible, positive outcome out of that meeting and that it's a good use of the president's time. Of course, he's traveling to Asia next week. He has a number of events coming up here on the home front as well. He's been incredibly busy, as you all know. You're all tired from covering him and his movements every day. And so we want to make sure it's a good use of the president's time, and the president doesn't want to waste his time, and he said that.
All between the Secretary of State and Lavrov that led President Trump to believe that President Putin or the Russians did not want a peace deal.
That was not the sole reason, no. I think the Secretary Rubio felt that was actually a productive call. But again, the president wants to make sure that a meeting between himself and President Putin will be a good use of his time.
What exactly led to President Trump not believing, after his call on Thursday, where he said he did think he wanted peace and wanted a peace deal, to believing that Russians were not?
Again, the president wants to see action, not just talk. And I think the president is extremely motivated by the success of his peace deal in the Middle East to get things done. And he wants this war to come to an end. He's been saying it now for 9 months being in office, and he's grown increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress from both sides of this war. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. Two quick construction questions, if I can. You mentioned any construction project comes with changes. The president had initially said that this project wouldn't interfere with or touch the current structure. Now he says to do this properly, he realized that the East Wing had to be demolished. This is the people's house. Why not inform the public of that change and when it was decided that the East Wing would have to be demolished?
Look, again, with any construction project, changes come, and we have informed all of you. We've been keeping you apprised of this project. We've shown you the renderings, and if you look at the renderings, it's very clear the East Wing was going to be modernized. Instead, in fact, I said that in the briefing when we initially introduced this plan to all of you and to the public.
But modernized and tearing down
the-
are two different things.
Well, again, the plans changed when the president heard counsel from the architects and the construction companies who said that in order for this East Wing to be modern and beautiful for many, many years to come, for it to be a truly strong and stable structure, this phase one that we're now in was necessary. And the president wants to do right by the People's House. And so that's exactly what he's doing. It's going to be, again, like I said, much more stable, strong, secure, and more beautiful than ever once it's
And
complete.
the First Lady's offices, where will those be? The First Lady's offices, the Social Secretary's office in the East? They will be back where they were?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Cattle ranchers who supported the president's election have raised some concerns about plans to import beef from Argentina. How will the Trump administration support those farmers?
Look, the president hears those concerns. He addressed them yesterday himself. President loves our ranchers, and our ranchers love our president. And in fact, the president did a lot for them in his first term here. They are struggling because of the many horrible policies of the previous administration. President loves our ranchers, and he also loves American consumers, and he wants to do right by both. So the immediate solution to the problem of the rising cost of beef, president wants to bring that down, is we have to increase our supply. And so that's what he's doing with respect to these imports. But the president also is looking out for our ranchers with a long-term plan that was released by the Secretary of Agriculture yesterday. It's a 3-part plan. It's very extensive and detailed. I would encourage all of you to read through it. But there's really 3 points to this plan that the president has agreed upon and has entrusted Secretary Rollins to implement. Number 1, strengthening U.S. cattle production through increased grazing access, endangered species reforms, enhanced disaster relief, increased access to capital, and reducing costs for new and young ranchers. We want to incentivize more Americans to get into this noble profession. Lowering long-term costs by cutting inspection costs, increasing market options for consumers with Product of USA labeling, and ensuring consumers know that they are eating American beef. It's a good incentive for the American consumer. And lastly, growing the domestic herd while boosting long-term demand to reduce prices for consumers while growing the markets for our ranchers. So President hears them. He has to address both of these problems for the ranchers but also for the American consumer. He promised to lower costs, and that's what he's committed to doing.
Caroline, thank you. 2 questions not on the ballroom. The first is, there's a Democrat in Texas who's actually running for Congress who said last night during an interview when talking about fighting Republicans and this administration, quote, "If you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck." This has obviously really upset those folks over at Turning Point USA after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just your response to that kind of rhetoric.
It's very jarring rhetoric, and I think it's very unacceptable. I hope the people of Texas will do the right thing and reject this person's candidacy. It should have no place in American politics.
And then just a quick second question on oversight Democrats that are saying that they're creating this master ICE tracker, basically tracking all ICE activity. We've seen the protests in New York just yesterday. Homeland Security is saying that this sounds like obstruction of justice. What do you say?
Again, this is actively putting the lives of our ICE agents at risk. We've seen media outlets, in fact, in this room, also write stories about ICE tracker apps that Democrats and other left-wing activists have created to track the location of ICE agents on the ground in our communities. Again, I've said this repeatedly, and I will continue to say it. The men and women of ICE are outstanding people. I wish a Democrat on Capitol Hill would actually have the courage or the guts to stand up to their party and sit down with some of these men and women who are doing this incredibly difficult job of enforcing our federal immigration laws. They are, again, simply trying to enforce the law and do their jobs. And if Democrats spent a little bit more time understanding that and also focusing on the people who they are trying to get out of our country every single day. As I spoke about earlier, 3 innocent people in California are dead because an illegal alien who Democrats let into this country was wrongfully issued a trucker's driving license and clearly was not fit for the job because he was driving intoxicated and killed 3 innocent people. Democrats should focus a little bit more on that. Stop trying to fight this president and this administration on every turn and restore law and order. That's all that we and these brave men and women of ICE are trying to do. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions, one on San Francisco and one on the No Kings protesters. On San Francisco, the president said that he had a call.
All right, so you are watching the White House briefing happening live right now in Washington, D.C. That is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt answering questions right now from the media. But we want to come back home. We want to come to a press conference from Charlotte Center City Partners. So a couple of weeks ago, if you remember, they discussed public safety initiatives. So this press conference is more of the same. Specifically speaking about the Tryon Street area. Now, when you hear Tryon, I know it's a long street. So we hope to learn more about this. Jesse Pierre is covering this story for us. Let's take a listen in to what's being said right now.
Charlotte. And so today is an important opportunity to highlight the steps that the Center City Public Safety Task Force is taking to strengthen safety across Uptown and South End. To build stronger partnerships between law enforcement, local businesses, residents, and to reaffirm that meaningful progress is only possible when we truly work together. So I really want to thank you. Your presence and engagement today demonstrates a collective commitment to ensuring that Uptown, South End, and every part of our region remain places where people feel secure living, working, and investing. So once again, on behalf of the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance and the Center City Public Safety Task Force, I want to thank you for being here and for all that you do to support our community. And with that, just coming in the door, I want to turn it over to Dante Anderson. Dante, welcome. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dante Anderson, and I have the pleasure to represent a portion of Uptown as well as District 1. Just 2 weeks ago, we stood before you together and promised to make Uptown a stronger, safer place, not just with words, but also with action. And today, we're showing exactly what that looks like. From the Tryon Street refresh to Uptown Lighting Initiative, we are keeping our promises. These projects aren't just about bricks and bulbs and pavement. They're about restoring confidence and pride in the heart of the Queen City. The Tryon Street refresh will make our main corridor brighter, more walkable, and welcoming. And the upgrading lighting throughout Uptown means people can see and feel that this is a safe place that it's meant to be for everyone. Because when people feel confident in a place, they return, and they return again, and they return again. And we want that practice to take place Uptown, to eat, to shop, to live, and to be a part of this community. That renewed confidence is what will make Uptown thriving. Our police department and city partners and our local businesses are working hand in hand, collaboratively, expanding camera coverage, increasing patrols, and improving coordination throughout all of Uptown. These aren't isolated efforts. They're part of a united strategy to make Uptown safer day in and day out, night and day. So everyone who lives here and represents this community, I see firsthand the progress and the passion behind it. Charlotte is just not standing still. We've said we would act, and we are doing exactly that. I'd like to thank the city manager and CMPD for their leadership in these initiatives, and to our Center City partners and Uptown businesses. Thank you so much for stepping up, investing in safety, and helping us turn plans into progress. The work is not finished, not by a long shot, but the change is visible and the momentum is real, and I hope we all feel that way. Thank you for your commitment to our city, and thank you for working together to make Charlotte and Uptown in particular a safer, brighter community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Anderson, for those words, and thank you, Robert, Robert, where are you? Thank you for not just for hosting today, but for leaning into these issues, you and your membership. Sean Heath, Deputy City Manager. So one of the things that I really appreciate about this public safety press conference series, and I'm about to steal a quote, and I'm going to give attribution because the person I'm about to steal it from is sitting right in front of me. There are two things that I really appreciate about this series. One is the recognition that public safety is a team sport. Thank you, Mr. Graham, for that a quote from a statement that you made last month. That means so much to me. And there have already been references today that it has to be more than just any one single organization. Even the City of Charlotte, CMPD, Code Enforcement, Housing, Department of Transportation, you run down the list, many city departments come around this issue, the county, the DA's office, the courts, the business community, the nonprofit community. All of us have and will continue to come around these issues as team players. The second point would be that public safety really needs to be a multi-pronged strategy. So not only do we need to have different players on the team, but we've got to embark upon different strategies. Law enforcement is always an essential ingredient to public safety, but law enforcement can't do this alone. So today we're excited to talk about what are some things that we're doing beyond policing, as important as policing is. You heard a bit about that a few weeks ago. And in a moment, we're going to have a couple city leaders stand up and speak about two very tangible, what we believe will be very visible efforts here in the city of Charlotte. But I wanted to quickly mention two things that are probably a little bit under the radar. The first is called Connect Charlotte. So some of you may be familiar with Connect Charlotte. This is a public safety program that was introduced by CMPD in late 2024. And here the emphasis is really on technology collaboration. So how can CMPD in partnership with residents and businesses enhance public safety? And what Connect Charlotte is, it's an opportunity for residents or businesses to participate in one of two ways. One is to simply register their security cameras with CMPD. So that could be anything from a fixed installation security camera on a mom and pop convenience store to a Ring doorbell camera. And for anybody in the community willing to do that, if CMPD is looking to research or investigate crime that may have happened in that particular area, they then have in their database and in their mapping registered cameras across the city. And it's an opportunity for them to then reach out to that individual and ask for permission for them to share some of their video footage from a particular day at a particular time. That can be quite helpful to have eyes in the sky in that regard. The second opportunity for businesses, if they want to go even a step further beyond just the registration, is to do what we call integrate with the platform. And under the integrate scenario, this is when a business is giving CMPD permission to have access to the direct video feed. Very important point to underscore here is, in all scenarios, the business is deciding the sharing parameters. It can be anything from unlimited access, where CMPD on a real-time basis has access to a live video feed, or at the other end of the spectrum, it could be only in those scenarios where there's a 911 call involved at that particular location. Those are just two extreme examples. There are a lot in the middle. But the important point is the business is deciding what is shared and when it's shared. So why does this matter? And to the extent that maybe it's not obvious, but CMPD is in a position, because of this type of technology sharing, to better assess, investigate, and rapidly respond to criminal activity in emergency situations. As of today, there are over 1,500 cameras that are registered in this program, and there are over 900 that are integrated into the CMPD system. So I think we're already in a position where there's a demonstration of strong community support. So I'm thanking the individuals and businesses that are participating already. But I would also consider this a bit of a call to action, because to really maximize the benefit of this platform, we need to continue to grow the network. So I'd encourage any businesses that want to learn more to go to connectcharlotte.org as a starting point. Not only will you see some more information about the two options under this program, but there's also a good FAQ section, because a lot of people will naturally have questions about data privacy and this sort of thing, and related to the video feeds themselves. So that's a great place to start. And we also have CMPD representation here today that could answer any specific questions you may have later. The second thing that I would turn to would be really what I would think of as a pilot program. And this would be an example of the multi-pronged approach beyond just law enforcement. So the city manager continues to encourage his team to be creative, to be proactive, to experiment with things. And last month, in conversation with our Director of Solid Waste Services, we talked about how in the Central Business District, on Friday nights / early Saturday morning, Saturday nights, early Sunday morning, between 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., there's generally no solid waste services collection activity, which wouldn't be uncommon across the country. So we asked our head of solid waste services, what do you think if on a pilot basis you had a crew of 5 people go out between those hours of 2 to 5 a.m. and focus their attention on those heavily trafficked areas with high pedestrian flow after the bars close? Get out there, clean.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Busy afternoon it has been here on Live Impact News. Happening right now, we have a live press conference happening. Center City Partners talking about their public safety initiatives. On the top right, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talking about the government shutdown. We are in day 23 of that. And below is the East Wing demo underway at the White House, happening right now. President Trump announcing that yesterday, basically they're going to demolish the East Wing of the White
ballroom.
House. The
Yeah,
ballroom,
so make a
yeah.
new ballroom.
The ballroom, I should point out.
We apologize. The shot's a little dark. I don't know why it's dark, but yeah, you could see the crane there. That's been kind of going all
Yeah.
day. We've seen
Images
dust and construction and yeah.
A lot of talk surrounding that. But we want to take a moment, take a quick break, reset. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to get you back out to a press conference happening live. Our Jesse Bier is covering it. Center City Partners in Charlotte talking about public safety initiatives. Let's take a listen in.
For residents and visitors to live, work, and play. So with that, I'm going to introduce David Smith with our Department of Transportation, another great Team Charlotte member, to talk about some of the other exciting things that we have to create that new uptown.
Thanks so much, Monica. As an Uptown and South End resident for almost 25 years, can't wait to see the refresh. Really excited about that. So hello, everyone. Good to be with you this afternoon. I'm David Smith with the City of Charlotte DOT's Engineering and Operation Division. And as this group is well aware, Uptown is one of our most visible and vibrant areas. And I'd like to share some updates on what we're doing with Center City Lighting. For many people coming to Charlotte, it's a visible sign of our investment in the community's well-being, economic growth, and public trust. When our streets are clearly marked, our intersections well lit, and infrastructure in good condition, it improves mobility, reduces crashes, and shows residents, workers, and visitors that the city has made investments in safety. Maintaining our core transportation infrastructure such as pavement markings, sidewalks, accessible pedestrian paths, street lighting, and signage is essential in supporting the vibrant environment we want to create. These elements help create safe, predictable conditions for drivers, pedestrians, cyclists, and transit users. Just as importantly, they contribute to a positive public image and perception of safety that encourages business activity and tourism. As you've heard from and will hear from other speakers, there are many elements that come together to create this vibrant uptown, including adequate lighting. Lighting is important across the entire fabric of uptown, including on our public streets, in our parks, and on privately owned property. The city is doing our part when it comes to this lighting, and I'd like to share Charlotte DOT's current and future efforts to improve street lighting in the Center City area. For many years, CDOT staff has performed annual street lighting assessments across the city. This year, we have accelerated the start of this assessment to include the uptown area to get a look at some of these lighting fixtures before the leaves fall off the trees. We're looking for fixtures that are out, but also where tree trimming could make our existing lighting more effective. I'm happy to report that the field portion of this uptown lighting assessment was completed on Tuesday. We're compiling the information and determining the next steps for an action plan. Also within Uptown, we are collaborating with our partners at Duke Energy to investigate what it would take to upgrade the remaining fixtures to LED technologies. These LED fixtures are brighter, longer lasting, and use less energy than traditional lighting fixtures. Within just the 277 loop, there are around 3,000 street lighting fixtures, and approximately half of those have already been upgraded to LED technologies. CDOT is working closely with our partners at Duke to develop cost estimates and schedules to complete the rest of that uptown LED conversion. To give some context on the size of the overall system, there are about 80,000 streetlights across the city. Center City Partners, who you will hear from in a moment, will be spearheading efforts to work with private property owners to improve the off-street lighting. Longer term, CDOT will continue to work with Duke Energy to identify areas of low lighting after the LED conversion is complete. The off-street lighting is important to the vibrancy of Uptown, and a working group that includes CMPD, CDOT, Center City Partners, and Park and Rec is meeting regularly to improve lighting across Uptown. This is a collaborative effort, and we appreciate all of our amazing partners. We have identified some immediate needs, and we'll be taking actions on those, and we'll continue to collaborate with our partners on those short, mid, and long-term efforts. And with that, although no relation, I'm going to hand it over to Michael Smith.
Thank you all. Thanks for our elected officials that are here and for your commitment to safety of this community. It is foundational to everything we're trying to do, but thank you, Robert, for hosting us. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Anderson, Deputy City Manager Heath, Monica, and David. These are great partners that we do a lot with, and this is truly that team sport of public safety, like everything we approach in Charlotte. As an organization, we have been committed for almost 50 years to economic vibrancy and a welcoming downtown. And we're going through this wonderful transformation where our center city is becoming a more complete place, moving from central business district to central activity district. It's home to sports teams. Last year, there were 330 sporting events in our center city. Amazing. Large venues, culture, food, entertainment, visitors, and yes, the heart of business for our community, the heart of GDP for the two-state region. Central Activity District is becoming more modern, more diverse, stronger visitor appeal, thriving nightlife, dynamic workplaces. And that's why public safety and these environmental initiatives mean so much and can play such a big role. You know, there's only so many levers to public safety, and our city is considering all of them and working together, and you'll continue to hear more about that. I want to add 2 initiatives that continue to extend that Tryon Street refresh. The first is McCall Park. I hope you've all been there. I hope you're all enjoying it. It is an incredible gift to our community by so many. Great partnership with the City of Charlotte and our private investors. This was a major renovation to Tryon Street and illustrative of the difference intentional design and investment can make in a place. The park has been transformed. It's celebrated. It's being used by all, and it makes our center city more welcoming to all. The renovation joins others on Tryon Street, including the Truist Plaza remodeling over last summer, the iconic public art they put in the entrance. The second is an initiative of the Tryon Street vendor and food truck program that we advise and work with the city to administer. We support small businesses in so much of what we do because it is truly the character of our center city. Whether that's the market at 7th Street, the Hive program, the Small Business Innovation Fund that was launched during COVID, and the work that we do on Tryon Street with the food trucks and the food vendors. We manage this program with the City of Charlotte, and we will be conducting a reimagining of this program concurrent with the broad reimagining of Tryon Street. We think that that way it can support our vibrancy aspirations for Tryon Street. As a reminder, we launched an initiative called the Uptown Vibrancy Collaborative at the beginning of this year, and it was a partnership between Center City Partners and the CELC and the City of Charlotte to address public safety and vibrancy in Uptown Charlotte. It began and was born out of a deep conviction that the essential elements of Charlotte's rise has been its focus on developing a strong, vibrant center city, and its priorities of this initiative are around increasing economic vibrancy, generating investment in public infrastructure, or generational investment in public infrastructure, improving perception of our uptown and center city, creating extraordinary uptown experiences, and ensuring that uptown is safe for all. I'll begin with the programming side of it. Actually, I'll begin with the marketing side of it. We pulled together an Uptown Marketing Collaborative, and it was the CMOs and heads of marketing from many of our major employers to talk about the perception of this place that had been truly battered from COVID on. But don't feel like we're alone. Downtowns across the country have endured this. We just don't want to sit back, and we're going to act on it. And that was the idea behind this broad Uptown Vibrancy Collaborative. We worked with Ray Ward, developed a campaign that was launched in the spring of this year. That will continue. We are going to go out and tell stories about the way people are enjoying the Uptown experience that it offers. That was phase 1. Newsletters, websites, 50 million impressions to date. We're proud of the work that's been done. Phase 2 is now launching this fall and will head through the holiday season. On the programming side, we have an incredible events team that we're proud to have turned loose with micro and macro programming for big events or surprise and delight efforts. This has been a great undertaking with us, or for us, from the beer garden on the Wells Fargo Plaza, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. You can see it this afternoon, actually. Movies in the park, Fourth Ward Park in Uptown, Centennial, Wilmore Centennial Park in South End. We've put a game kiosk for kind of lunchtime fun in the middle of Vermeer Park. We've had a great partnership with Mecklenburg County for our Center City parks, to craziness like pop-up singing Elvis's Superheroes, Talk Like a Pirate Day, which I didn't even know was a thing. To Veg Fest, to National Night Out, to Victoria Yards, lunchtime concerts, weekend warm-ups in Ramir Bearden Park that begin on Thursdays at 4 p.m. There'll be one today. To the larger programming like Charlotte Shout, Thanksgiving Eve Parade, and more. We want folks to have different kinds of experiences. We think this intentionality is important. The team is having a ton of fun producing it, and I hope folks are coming out and enjoying. Now it's my pleasure to welcome my partner, the CRVA's CEO, Steve Bagwell, to share some key parts about Uptown Vibrancy Collaborative around Own Your Block and the Center City Safety Ambassadors. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for everyone being here, your involvement in this important discussion, your leadership. So the CRVA helps drive the visitor economy, hotels, restaurants, attractions, and venues that welcome millions of guests each year. Behind that activity, 1 in 9 people in our community work in hospitality. So for all of us who work in the industry, safety is critical for us to deliver the experiences that keep visitors coming back. That's one reason this discussion is so important. Every guest who chooses Charlotte for a convention, a concert, a weekend getaway, deserves to feel safe and cared for. That's a standard our community sets, and it's one we share responsibility in driving. We're proud to partner with Center City Partners to expand the Safety Ambassador Program, a visible, hospitality-minded team that helps keep Uptown and South End welcoming. This partnership's a natural fit for us. The ambassadors are an extension of our hospitality promise, a team that helps keep our streets safe, our guests comfortable, and our community connected. Easily spotted with their bright orange shirts and jackets, ambassadors stand out for service. And they complement the work of our CRVA visitor information specialists. While our team focuses on hospitality and wayfinding, the ambassadors extend that same spirit to safety and outreach, assisting visitors, reporting issues, and connecting people to resources. It's a partnership that strengthens the experience for everyone who visits, works, and lives in Center City. Building on that partnership, we're helping to grow this team from 14 to 23 ambassadors by the end of November. That expansion is a clear sign of our community investing in safety, because when people feel comfortable here, they stay longer, they spend more, and they tell others about their experience in Charlotte. At the CRVA, we know safety isn't someone else's job, it's everyone's job. It's a shared commitment that must be visible, proactive, and sustained. Our venues are part of a much larger picture, and when everybody takes small and deliberate steps, together we create a city that feels safe and welcoming from block to block. The CRVA is also embracing the Center City Partners Own Your Block initiative. At its core, Own Your Block is about stewardship.
All right, so you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Right there is a live press conference, again, happening live in Uptown Charlotte. So we're hearing from Charlotte Center City Partners regarding safety initiatives, improvements along Tryon Street, what they're doing. So that's happening. Jesse Pierre is covering that story for us. Let me see what time she will be on. I usually have this readily available. Again, that press conference happening there. Jesse will be live at 5 and 6 on this story. So that press conference is happening, and while that happens, we're going to take a step aside. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene is also here in studio. Okay, so let's talk about it. A new restaurant is officially open in Charlotte. I know we have a lot of foodies here. Are you a foodie? Would you consider yourself a foodie?
Of course I'm a foodie.
I just had to ask, Carlene. I had to ask.
I eat pretty much everything.
Carlene, yeah. I kind of stick. I'm a foodie, but like I don't try everything. Does that
You don't
make
try
sense?
everything?
I don't. No. I like foodie as in like I would like to go to a new restaurant
Yeah.
and kind of try things that I kind of normally like. I'm not saying I'm going to stick to the chicken fingers
So you
and
don't
fries.
think outside the box too much?
I do. I think outside
you
the
don't take
box.
a walk on the wild side.
I think outside the box.
Okay.
But I'm not going to like get the octopus.
You're pressing right up against the box.
Yeah, there you go. You get my drift, y'all. So anyway, as I was originally saying before, Carlene took me off track. Thank you, Carlene, for
That's
taking me
okay.
off track. This is some
My
of our
bad.
favorite moments on the show. So a new restaurant is opening in Charlotte, and it is created by a professional skateboarder and a chef.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what's cool? WCNC Charlotte's Anna King is covering the story for
Anna
us.
King's cool.
I think Anna King is cool when she wants to be. No. No, we love Anna here on the stream. Anna, it looks like you're inside the restaurant. What can you tell us?
No, I'm actually outside of the Lotta Arcade, so the alleyway that leads to the restaurant. But the restaurant is right back there. It's pretty packed right now, so I had to step out so I could be able to hear you all. But yes, like you said, NADC Burger is having their soft opening right now. It's owned by or co-owned by the professional skateboarder Neen Williams. But yes, so many residents in there, just all excited, trying it out. I saw so many people just stopping by. Honestly, I think the smell drew most of the people in, but they were stopping by just to see what was going on. A lot of people are excited to see things come here to the Queen City or come here to Uptown as opposed to closing, because we've covered multiple stories where businesses actually had to close their doors here in Uptown. But to see restaurants and businesses coming to Uptown is always so exciting.
Anna, so did he get into why he decided to get into the restaurant business?
Yes, he was saying that although he's a professional skateboarder, he's always loved to cook, and so his friend, who is also the other owner of NADC Burger, they decided to come together to open this business, and it started in Texas, but he made his way here to Charlotte. And he's excited to continue to expand like this.
Man, it's such a cool story there. Anna, you can catch Anna's story at 6:15. You know, she might be taste testing a burger.
Well, now I'm hungry.
Now you're hungry?
I love burgers.
I have to be honest. I did try the burger, and the burger is really, really good.
Yay!
I am a foodie, so I was excited to try their burger. Of course, I can't tell the story without trying the burger.
Of course.
Okay, all right. We'll have to take that Anna King recommendation.
I'll take her recommendations. I'm hungry.
Before Carlene gets too hungry, Anna, we're gonna let you go. Thank you for your time, Anna. All right, that's Anna King there covering that story. Yeah, I'm a little hungry now too.
Yeah.
Carlene.
I love a good burger now.
Yeah, I don't eat beef anymore.
Well, that's
so
right. You don't eat
if
beef.
they have
Don't worry. I eat enough for the burger.
If they had a good turkey burger,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure.
and look, Brad and Jane, they get on me a lot for liking turkey burgers and turkey bacon.
Brad, okay, love Brad Panovich. We are big fans of Brad Panovich. I will share some tea. Pickiest eater.
Really?
Yeah. He'll tell you that too. He's a picky eater. So him giving you any flack about any food.
Wow. Okay.
It's something else.
Now I have some ammo. Like I have something.
You could go in informed.
Like Brad, I heard you were a picky eater.
Brad, I think
Okay,
he told
Brad.
me I think he has like the same lunch for like years at a time. Like
Really?
the same like
Ugh.
sandwich and things like years in a row.
Like even in the morning when I cook breakfast, I have to just switch it up.
Yeah, switch it up.
Yeah, and I'm not switching it up drastically, but I just can't eat the same thing
Right.
for days, let alone for weeks.
Right.
Like I have to switch it up. Like if
course,
it's eggs
same.
and turkey bacon one day, it may be eggs and English muffin the next day. Like subtle changes like
Yes.
that to keep it fresh. Okay, all right.
So don't let Brad tell you anything.
I appreciate that,
I
Carly.
know he's picky.
I appreciate that. And what can I tell Jane? Do you have any more?
Jane though tries. She's very adventurous with her
Oh,
food.
so I have
Jane
no
tries the
comeback
world.
for
No,
Jane.
yeah,
Okay.
Jane, you're on your own. Brad, I got you for that.
All right. Well, all right.
But I am looking at the menu though. I'm gonna try and see if they have a turkey burger for you, and I'll get back to you.
Okay, all right. While Carlene checks on that, we want to get back out to a press conference that is happening live right now. Center City Partners in Charlotte talking about public safety initiatives. Remember, they had a press conference about a couple of weeks ago. We took it live here on Live Impact News. Let's take a listen into what's being said. That is actually Charlotte City Councilman Malcolm Graham speaking right now. Let's take a listen in.
The investment that Sanjay is making in Uptown from a private perspective. Folks are moving to Uptown Charlotte, whether or not they're staying in their private homes or our hotels in Uptown Charlotte, and they're coming by the thousands for soccer matches and basketball games and football games. And we have a responsibility, yet an obligation, to ensure that everyone doesn't feel safe, but they are safe. And I think you hear the message here this afternoon that we take this thing seriously, that this is just not another press conference talking about what needs to happen. These things are happening. And they're happening because, again, we all understand the importance of working together. We all understand the importance of this Uptown being the center of the region, and we have a responsibility to ensure that those who live here, those who visit here, those who want to invest here get a return on their investment, feel safe walking their dogs, feel safe dropping their kids to daycare, feel safe catching the bus, feel safe getting on the streetcar, all starting or ending their trip in Uptown Charlotte. That's why my colleagues before me demonstrated what we're doing to ensure that we are moving forward, that we have heard the residents, we understand the issues, we understand the perceptions, but we also understand the reality that each and every one of us have to be safe in our own skin, in our cars, in our trains, our buses, in our arenas, in our restaurants, our hotels. So we are here today to demonstrate to you through our words, but more importantly, the actions that we are currently taking and will take to ensure that people understand and know that this neighborhood called Uptown, that we're going to change the perspective a little bit to ensure that we put all those things in place necessary, not only to demonstrate, but to ensure that people feel safe when they come and make that initial investment. So I thank everyone for coming. I thank you for working with us. I'm almost certain this will not be the last time that we come together because, again, as I said earlier, this issue of public safety in our community as a whole, and specifically in Uptown Charlotte, is a marathon. It is not a sprint. We will not solve it tomorrow or next week or next month. But the commitment is that each and every day, each and every city department, each and every stakeholders, the men and women who wear the blue uniforms are dedicated to ensuring that those who come to our living room, our region, our home here in Uptown feel safe and secure. That's our commitment to each and every one of you. Robert, would you close us out? Thank you.
Wow, so a big day with a lot of important information and announcements. Street cleaning, clearing, integration of cameras, monitoring cameras, refreshing Tryon Street, lighting plan, lighting audits, intends to improve lighting across the city, vibrancy across the city, amazing programming and great creative things that we're doing to improve vibrancy, owning your block, ambassadors across the city. Amazing things going on, and what strikes me is we've got some incredible city officials here, Mayor Lyles, Councilman Graham, Councilman Peacock, and Pro Tem Anderson. Thank you for being here, but I think it also shows this isn't just a city official thing. This is a community thing coming together for holistic solutions to make Uptown and our Uptown area much more vibrant, clean, safe, welcoming. It's something that we all take pride in, and I think we have a lot more reason to take pride in today. Thank you so much for your wonderful comments, Councilman Graham. I also want to thank another group that's here. Sasha Weintraub from Duke Energy is here with his entire team, just showing the support that they have for this effort and the lighting efforts that are planned in the future. So thank you so much for being here. And with that, I want to thank you for coming today to the press conference and to the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. I think there will be time for one-on-one interviews with the press and some of the members of the group here. So thank you very much for your time and attending.
All right, so it looks like that press conference just wrapped up. That was a shot of Jessie Pierre. She's covering this story for us a little later on. Again, Center City Partners, talking about safety. Uptown, Tryon, those areas. South End was mentioned as well in this press conference. So this is efforts that they have been working on for quite some time. It looks like we have a couple of things happening live. I'm looking at the NBC feeds, but if Carlene, if you want to take a break, we can. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivant. So we are now day 23 of the federal government shutdown. Looks like there's no end in sight. A lot of federal workers missing paychecks, some services interrupted. But at the crux of it, you have two sides, both sides of the aisle, not seeing eye to eye. and pointing the finger at each other. And right now, the Senate floor, happening right now on the Senate floor, well, I see the shot, it's frozen, I won't take it, but South Carolina, well, Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina is speaking on the Senate floor. So earlier today, we heard from Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary for the White House. We also heard from Hakeem Jeffries at the steps of Capitol Hill. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we've been hearing from leaders, and right now, Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, Senator Lindsey Graham, is speaking. I can only imagine that he's speaking regarding the shutdown. Again, we're on day 23. Let's take a listen in.
Voice. But I am speaking for most everybody in this body, where we believe the time has come for China, India, and Brazil to stop profiting off this war. The time has come to end this bloodbath. And to China, India, and Brazil, you have the power, if you would use it, to get Putin's attention like no one else on the planet. To India, you're definitely moving in the right direction. China made some announcements today about maybe reducing their purchases of Russian oil. All of this is good. And the reason I keep talking about this is I've concluded that unlike anybody else on the planet, China can, if they choose to, help us end this war better than anybody. So I'm appealing to President Xi to help President Trump end a war that should have been ended a long time ago. And I'm very concerned if this war continues, then the relationship between the United States and China is going to get worse, not better, and I seek it to be better. So, Madam President, you've been involved in everything I've just said. You've been one of the leading champions of protecting the Ukrainian children kidnapped by the Russians. You're one of the first people that sponsored the legislation. You've been to Ukraine numerous times. I know you have a personal relationship with Ukraine. It goes back to a long time ago when you were actually involved with Ukraine and Ukrainian families spending some time there. You have been a strong, consistent voice that Russia needs to stop. We need to end the war, not continue the war. And to my Senate colleagues, you've been asking me a long time, when are we going to move your bill? It's not my bill, it's our bill. The time has come. I'm hoping, and I believe the majority leader agrees, that the time has come. We'll wait to see what happens in China, but if nothing changes in China, then we need to have a week, I believe, of where this body focuses on applying pressure against Russia to end this conflict for the betterment of the world. With that, I yield.
Madam.
You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. I was going to toss to a break. I'll be honest with you. We heard from Senator Lindsey Graham out of South Carolina regarding the shutdown, but it looks like we're hearing from another senator. Carlene, do we want to go back to? Sure. Let's go. Let's take a listen in. And again, we're in day 23 of the government shutdown with. Looks like the shot went out. So we are going to go to break, Carlene. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivan. Carlene is also here in studio. All right, so we want to get to a big story out of the NBA, and we brought it to you here live on Live Impact News. And we played a little bit of that press conference this afternoon on the stream. So, again, big story. God, Carlene, what time did you guys break this? Was it around right when the stream?
Right
Okay.
when the streams, it happened. I mean, it probably came to our newsroom probably right around 8ish. But then, yeah, we were on at 9, so we were just like gathering details. I mean, it was coming in slowly.
And what I'm talking about is the situation involving the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, former Charlotte Hornets guard Terry Rozier. They were arrested today, along with more than 30 people in 2 criminal cases alleging separate schemes and to rake in millions of dollars by rigging sports bets, poker games involving the mafia family. That's according to authorities. So this is a live look outside of the courtroom, or the courthouse rather, in Orlando, Florida. So we are expecting to see Terry Rozier, again, Miami Heat guard, former guard for the Charlotte Hornets. It was expected at 2:30, his court appearance. That could be going on right now. We're still working to get information, but this is a live look outside of the courthouse there in Orlando, Florida. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we heard from authorities, the FBI, regarding this case, a huge case out of the NBA. You got to think about it. NBA season just kicked off a couple of days ago. So this is happening. And we also have, and do we still have this statement, Carlene, from the NBA? I want to make sure I read that.
Very quickly, I can.
While we get that, so the NBA released a statement today, and I did have that statement up. Bear with me for just a moment. So moments after, or hours after, I should say, the arrests were announced, the NBA released a statement basically saying they're looking into this case. Here, I got it, Carlene.
Okay.
The NBA, here's a statement from the NBA. So, quote, "We are in the process of reviewing the federal indictment. Announced today, Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their teams." And here, statement there on your screen. And we will continue to cooperate with the relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority. So a big deal out of the NBA, big news there. And so in case you missed it, we want to get to that press conference from earlier. Again, we heard from authorities, the FBI Director Kash Patel, regarding this case. A lot of moving parts, a lot of breakdown here. So let's take you there now.
I'd like to welcome you here today. In addition, we have with us today FBI Director Kash Patel, FBI Assistant Director in Charge Christopher Rea of the New York Field Office, Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office, Leslie Bakshies, New York Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security, Ricky Patel, Newark Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security, Michael McCarty, Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny, and the Executive Director of the Waterfront Commission, Phoebe Sorrell. I'm now going to turn the podium over to FBI Director Kash Patel.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Cosa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation. And we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Cosa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people from money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where card games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn it over to United States Attorney Nocella. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Patel. To be clear, we're announcing today indictments in two major cases, both involving fraud. One involves sports betting, and the other involves illegal gambling, very specifically rigged poker games. The first indictment involves 6 defendants who are alleged to have participated in one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. This scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential information about National Basketball Association athletes and teams. The second indictment involves 31 defendants alleged to have participated in a nationwide scheme to rig illegal poker games. These defendants, which include former professional athletes, used high-tech cheating technology to steal millions of dollars from victims in underground poker games that were secretly fixed. The games in the New York area were backed by the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families of La Cosa Nostra. While the cases are separate, there are 3 overlapping defendants charged in both cases: Damon Jones, Eric Ernest, and Shane Hennon. The indictments in these cases contain only allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law. But my message to the defendants who've been rounded up today is this: your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that. First, I would like to talk about United States versus Ernest, the NBA basketball gambling case. The defendants in this case are Eric Ernest, Marvez Farley, Shane Hennon, DeNiro Laster, Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach, and Terry Rozier, a current NBA player. Other co-conspirators were previously charged for their roles in the scheme, including former NBA player Jontay Porter. Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. They relied on corrupt individuals, including Jones and Rozier. They also misused information obtained through long-standing friendships that they had with NBA players and coaches. And in at least one instance, they got their information by threatening a current player, Porter, because of his pre-existing gambling debts. Defendants used this non-public information to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets, mostly in the form of prop bets on individual player performance. The bets were placed through online sports books and also in person at casinos. The defendants relied on a network of straw bettors to place the maximum amount of bets to increase their potential profits. Most of these bets succeeded, and the intended losses were in the millions of dollars. The defendants then laundered their illegal winnings in various ways: peer-to-peer platforms, bank wires, and simple cash exchanges. The indictment details specific examples where the defendants profited from illegal gambling and illegal betting on various NBA games about the performance of players on, among other things, the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Toronto Rangers. Each defendant in the NBA basketball gambling case has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Now, I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case. Beginning as early as 2019, the defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf.
All right, everyone, I'm Colin Mayfield taking over for Nick Sturdivant from your 3 to 4 o'clock hour here on WCNC Plus. We have a moving situation, a live situation actually in Chicago right now. Just this Thursday morning, we had a large number of federal agents that were seen clashing with people in Little Village. It's an area inside Chicago. We're going to get more from leaders right now on what happened earlier today.
Our community needs to understand and know that they are not alone, that we are going to stand with them every day and we are going to show up for them every day. And we'll see, we'll play this getting tired game and see who gets tired first. They come to our communities, and once again, one car almost hit me today. They are driving down our streets, around our schools, trying to injure us, trying to scare us. The community is angry. We are angry. And we need to let them know that we are together. We are coming together not just with the Latino immigrant community, but with the Chinese immigrant community, with the Islamic immigrant community, with the Arabic immigrant community, with the Polish immigrant community. We are in solidarity with each other, and we will continue to be here. And with that, I'm going to bring up to the mic Alderperson Mike Rodriguez.
Thank you, Marcy, for this. So it's with really mixed feelings that I come here today. I am very happy to report that the 8 individuals that were detained yesterday in Little Village, all of the citizens that were detained have been released, including 2 of my staff. One of here with me today, Elian Baena, also who is a elected official, the 10th District Commissioner for the Community Safety and Police Accountability Commission. But it's with a heavy heart as well that I make that announcement, because we know that there are a number of family members, parents, who didn't wake up today sharing breakfast with their children. Tonight they won't be having dinner with their husbands or wives. In fact, there may be months until they see their family together, and it may never happen again here in the United States of America. The fact is, I stood 1 foot away from Greg Bovino yesterday, asking him why he was here and telling him to go home. Because the streets of Little Village belong to us. The streets of Little Village are us. We keep us safe. Today I'm here also to announce that my office at 4035 West 26th Street, right off of Pulaski and 26th, in the heart of Little Village, will be an immigrant triage center for the family and loved ones that have been kidnapped by this federal administration. There, for the next several days, you will find the staff of Senator Dick Durbin and Congressman Chuy Garcia. Also, I think we just confirmed the mayor's office will have staff, and we're looking at potentially the governor's office as well. We'll have staff with us in my office for the next 48 hours at least, because we believe ICE will be back. I'm sorry to say that, but we do think that ICE will be back. But let me tell you something. We will be ready. We will stand united.
That's right. Yeah.
We will stand ready to push back. Yeah. We will stand ready to exercise our First Amendment rights. Yes. And we will stand ready to support not only the immigrants of our community, not only the citizens of our community, but people who are our brothers and sisters, who are our neighbors, who are our loved ones, and who are our family members. Brevemente en español, soy Mike Rodríguez, concejal del Distrito 22. Quiero anunciar de que mi oficina se va a convertir a una oficina concentrada de apoyar a las familias y los sus seres queridos de nuestra gente que sea secuestrado por los agentes federales de Donald Trump. Se va a encontrar en mi oficina en la Pulaski, la 26, en la Komensky 26, 4035 al oeste de la 26, entre las 8 de la mañana a 6 de la tarde mañana y hasta las 5 hoy. La oficina de Chuy García, congresista, senador Dick Durbin, oficiales del alcalde y el gobernador van a estar en mi oficina apoyando a nuestros residentes, ciudadanos y sin papeles que sean impactados de esas redadas ridículos que han pasado ayer y hoy en nuestra comunidad y que estamos esperando tristemente mañana y los siguientes días. Vamos a ser unidos en contra de esta agenda anti-inmigrante, anti-Chicago. Vamos a estar muy unidos. Muchas gracias y ahora te presento a congresista Chuy García.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, for a second straight day, we felt the weight of a bankrupt effort to punish our community, to frighten and to instill fear in our community, led by Greg Bovino. Why did he come back again today? Because our community stood up and confronted him yesterday.
Yes.
And the community pointed out how morally bankrupt this operation is, how economically damaging at the national level and at the local level it is, and most importantly, what a trampling of the Constitution ICE is carrying out throughout the country. And we stand here today resolved to continue the resistance, to protect our community, to defend our community. I've lived here for 57 years and I've never seen the type of shameful practices and tactics employed by ICE and other federal agents. Cowardly, that's why you cover your face. Cowardly, that's why you cover your name. Because you're not proud to serve, because you're not serving anyone except the evil forces that seek to oppress us, to drive us into the shadows of society, and to make us silent. But we're not silent. We're here and we are morally defiant because we're on the right side of history and of this cause. I'm proud to announce that tomorrow a fact-finding delegation of members of Congress, numbering almost 20 from across the country, will be here to document what has transpired and to return to Washington to fight for the rights of immigrants and the rights of everyone who wants our democracy reclaimed and restored. That will happen tomorrow. So, Little Village, Chicago, Illinois, sanctuary locations across the country, you are not alone. We hear you, we appreciate you, and we intend to act. Thank you. Muy buenas tardes. Por el segundo consecutivo día, esta mañana, nuestra comunidad fue atacada nuevamente por un equipo de agentes federales que moralmente son corruptos y están en la bancarrota. ¿Por qué regresaron por el segundo día? Porque nuestra comunidad demuestra resistencia. Porque nuestra comunidad dice, no vamos a aceptar lo que quieren imponer a nuestro pueblo, y porque nuestra comunidad dice, defenderemos y protegeremos a toda persona en nuestro vecindario. Porque este vecindario es nuestro, nosotros lo construimos, nosotros lo hemos hecho lo que es una fortaleza en la ciudad de Chicago. Hacen todo esto porque buscan crear una clase de personas sin derechos que pueda ser explotada y que vivirá en las sombras. Pero nosotros rechazamos vivir en las sombras, reiteramos nuestros derechos humanos y nuestros derechos constitucionales, y por esa razón mañana representantes del Congreso de los Estados Unidos estarán en Chicago documentando, hablando con el pueblo que ha sido afectado, con los vecindarios, para retornar a Washington y luchar para restaurar el orden de la ley y de la Constitución. No nos van a atemorizar, seguiremos resistiendo, seguiremos unidos y seguiremos en unión con el resto de la gente de Chicago y del estado de Illinois. Que viva la democracia. Muchas gracias.
I'd like to bring up Alderman Cicho Lopez from the Alderman of the 25th Ward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, buenas tardes. And I want to first thank everybody for coming here today. This being a really difficult time. We're just processing the atrocities that happened yesterday. And this morning, we found ourselves in a much more undignified, terrorist, and cruel action by ICE agents. I want to thank all the community because, as we said yesterday, we're going to come with bigger numbers and more united. And I want to thank all the people, all the immigrant community that is coming together, all our city coming together to protect not only Little Village, not only La Villita, to protect a city or city that is at risk by an illegal occupation and siege. So I want to share just what we found this morning. And I'm grateful for the efforts of attorneys and rapid responders and everybody who helped make sure that everybody got released yesterday. So we talk about immigration. What we saw today was a united community that did not let agents come into the parking lot here in the Discount Mall. Right. So I want to thank our neighbors, our courageous leaders that stood and hold the line. It is important that we recognize that.
Rapid responders, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank in particular the person who was arrested today was the security guard at the Discount Mall that was arrested for asking a judicial warrant that, by the way, a federal judge demanded that they fulfill. Not only they're in contempt of these orders, but they continue to defy them. They define our laws, they're defying what is legal and constitutional. And what they're doing is outside the law. It's illegal, it's immoral, it's wrong, and we're going to stop it now, before it goes any worse. What we also saw after the detention of the security guard was the deployment of tear gas. Also, another thing that the judge mandated to stop. Another violation, documented, filmed and documented by many of us, including attorneys. And we told Bobino yesterday, and we told him today, you are in contempt of judicial orders. And as he held a tear gas on his hand, he did not dare to deploy another one. So he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and we must hold him accountable. As the mayor said, if the Congress and Senate, I'm glad Congressman Garcia is bringing a delegation, and I invite all the media, international media, to come and see the terror that they're deploying in our city. What they did after that is even more despicable. They went and they hit and they abused and they hit a minor. That's what they did just outside, behind the shadows. So they brutalized a minor and they arrested another 16-year-old that is still in custody. And we demand that they release these innocent people who have not done anything but protest, a tyrant, a dictator, someone who is trying to impose terror in our city. We demand the immediate release of everybody, our security guard, our minors, and all the residents are being arrested without judicial warrants. And that needs to be emphasized. That's terrorism. That anybody can be snatched from our community. There was another gentleman who was another Pilsen resident that was detained in 21st and Paulina going to work. They are not criminals. These are neighbors. These are people going to work, going to school, going to hospitals, and these cowards are even waiting for people outside churches. That's who they are. So today in Little Village, I'm grateful for all of you for coming. We hold the line.
All right, folks, we're going to take a 2-minute break. We'll come back to this live event happening in Chicago right now. Welcome back inside the Impact Studio. We're going to go back to this live press conference happening in Chicago in an area called Little Village, a large Latino community where there's been some federal agents that have had clashes with individuals who live in this area. We'll go back to this now live.
In this moment, people's rights that are being trampled on, their civil rights, their human rights, their constitutional rights. And what I saw today was a continuation of fascism that Donald Trump and his cronies are trying to instill throughout our entire country. What I witnessed this morning was a community fighting back with nothing but its words, and again, the belief in the Constitution of this country, the belief that we have the constitutional right to protest, to lawful assembly, the belief to fight back for our dignity and respect of our communities, for our humanity. That's what I witnessed today. That's what I witnessed yesterday. Now, we know, and what I've spent most of the rest of this morning and afternoon doing, was passing out masks so that my neighbors, my constituents, wouldn't inhale the gas, the tear gas that ICE deployed. That is state-sponsored violence. And we're not taking this seriously enough. And when I say we, it's not the people that are here. I am talking about the people that are watching us right now. It's not just the peoples here whose rights are being trampled on. It is all of us. Right. Of the several people that were taken today, because again, there's about 5 or 6 people here, just in the incident that happened here at the discount mall. That's not inclusive of what happened in Pilsen. That's not inclusive of what happened in Bridgeport. That's not inclusive of what happened on Cicero over by the Sam's Club, where they actually did even more state-sponsored terrorism yesterday. That's not inclusive of all the other incidents that they continue to do throughout the city of Chicago, throughout the suburbs, and the state of Illinois. And in each and every one of those instances, the community fights back. Right. We fight back because we know that the Constitution actually means something and that it's not just a bunch of words. We fight back because right now, our federal government, the person in the White House, isn't doing anything but giving orders to a little man. Because I saw him with my own.
All right, folks, we have a live event about to happen here. The president is about to speak with a number of officials, including Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Attorney General Pam Bondi. We'll go to this live right now.
I have all my friends here. It's like old home week. What a job you're doing. And thank you very much for that. We want to begin by thanking the people that have done such a great job at the White House. They have been doing really incredible work during a shutdown. I don't even know if they're supposed to be working, but they wouldn't miss a day. So I just want to thank everybody for that very much. And we're here today to discuss a sweeping, unprecedented, and historically successful operation that my administration has carried out in recent weeks to arrest, prosecute, and permanently remove members of foreign drug cartels from American soil. And the people gathered around this table are the ones that are doing it, and in this room. Some of them sitting a little bit behind. In fact, some of them I'm surprised are not actually at the table. You people should be very insulted by that. But you've done a great job back there. On my first day in office earlier this year, I signed an executive order to officially designate the drug cartels and savage transnational gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. It was my honor to do so. And on that same day, I also signed an order directing the creation of the Homeland Security Task Force to bring together all federal, state, and local partners to achieve the national policy goal of eliminating the cartel presence in America once and for all. And the results are, and it's early, and the results are spectacular. Led by ICE and the FBI, this task force includes the Department of Justice, the Department of War, DHS, the intelligence community, ATF, the DEA, the U.S. Marshals, and the state and local agencies in every part of our country. Other than that, we don't include too many people. That's a hell of a group, isn't it, huh? When you think of it. That's not a group you want against you. Certainly not at one time. In addition to the task force members, we're pleased to be joined by representatives of law enforcement at every level, the highest level, actually, but every level, including National President of the Fraternal Order of Police, Patrick Yos. Where's Patrick? Patrick, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for the endorsement, too. that really hit it off. I would have gotten 98% anyway, but it was still good to have your endorsement. Thank you, Patrick. I don't forget those things. President of the National Sheriff's Association, Chris West. Chris? Thank you, Chris, very much. Great, good job. Major Cities Chief Association Executive Director, Laura Cooper. Laura? Thank you, Laura, very much. Major County Sheriffs of America Executive Director, Megan Noland. Megan, thank you. Thank you very much. And President of the National Border Patrol Council, my friend, and a very good speaker, by the way. Whenever he gets up and speaks, I say, that guy can really speak. I don't know. I don't want him to run for office. I want him to stay where he is. Paul Perez. Paul? Thank you, Paul. Where is Paul? Hi, Paul. What are you doing over there, Paul? Good job. Good speaker you are, though, Paul. I mean it, too. You've made some incredible speeches, and all from the heart, too, right? Some great ones. Today, you'll hear details from my national security and homeland security teams about the extraordinary historic achievements of this new Homeland Security Task Force since it became fully operational last month in all 50 states, the job they're doing. What we inherited from this past administration is like disgraceful. In a matter of weeks, the task force has made the largest number of arrests of cartel leaders, operatives, and gang members in American history, more than 3,000 and counting. That includes members of the violent New Generation Cartel, the Sinaloa Cartel, the LNFM Cartel, MS-13 Cartel, and you know MS-13, the gang, and Tren de Aragua, another beauty. That's a group of real garbage we have to deal with, that we shouldn't have to deal with. These are, in addition to the massive numbers of dangerous criminals my administration arrested nationwide since January 20th, numbering over 120,000. It's a record, and 120,000 criminal arrests. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, for 4 long years before I took office, the last administration allowed the cartels and their operatives to frankly take over our country, to freely infiltrate America and all the communities nationwide. Along with transnational gangs, these groups have unleashed more bloodshed and killing on American soil than all other terrorist groups combined. These are the worst of the worst. It should now be clear to the entire world that the cartels are the ISIS of the Western Hemisphere, in addition to their monstrous violence, such as cutting off heads, burning their enemies alive, and burning innocent people alive, too, by the way. The cartels control large swaths of territory. They maintain vast arsenals of weapons and soldiers, and they use extortion, murder, kidnapping to exercise political and economic control. Thank you very much, Joe Biden, for allowing that to happen. Biden surrendered he just surrendered our country to the cartels. Don't worry, it gets better. We're taking it back. It's really fast at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But what we had to put up with, what we inherited, was just a disgrace. And while Biden was president, if he was president, I think the Autopen was president, not Biden, nearly 100% of those who infiltrated our southern border did so because they were personally approved. They admitted they were just what happened, assisted by the most dangerous and violent criminal organizations anywhere on the planet. The worst people on the planet they allowed into our beautiful country. Under the Trump administration, we're finally treating the cartels as the core national security threat that they really are. The cartels are waging war on America, and just as I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them like they've never seen before. All you have to do is turn on your television and you'll see what's happening to them. Past administrations have tried to mitigate this threat, and our objective is to eliminate it. We're not mitigating, we're eliminating. We're getting them out. The bad ones we're putting in prison. We hate to do that because that means we're stuck with them for 50 years or more. In recent weeks, our Homeland Security Task Force has seized more than 70 tons of deadly narcotics, along with more than 1,000 illegal guns. And that's just recently. This is already the most successful anti-cartel and anti-gang operation in American history, and it's just getting started. We have incredible people. A lot of them are in this room with us today, and it's an honor to have them. but we're going to not stop until the threat has been fully and completely eradicated. I want to thank task force members with us today, including a person who's doing a fantastic job, Attorney General Pam Bondi. Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Sounds so much better than Secretary of Defense. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? I don't know. It sounds, you know, we won the First World War, the Second World War. I would say everything before and everything in between. And then we got woke and we said, well, let's call it defense. I think we like it this way better. You know, it's funny, that's something I thought it would be maybe controversial, and it's only controversial that we changed the name in the first place. It's not controversial at all. It's been unbelievably well accepted, Pete. Hasn't it, right? It's been pretty amazing. I thought it would be controversial. People want to have our country back. People want to do exactly what we're doing right now, and we're getting a lot of credit for it, and we should. I want to thank, though, Pete. You're doing a great job, Pete Hegseth. Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Kristi, thank you very much. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, good job. And the heads of all of the law enforcement agencies all throughout the room. You're really amazing, the job you've done. To provide additional details on our mission, I would like also to ask General Bondi to say a few words, followed by Secretary Noem, Secretary Hegseth, Director Gabbard, Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. Stephen, you're such a superstar, Stephen. They called Stephen the other day a very bad name, and I said, you should sue them, Stephen. I think he will. I hope he does. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And I just want to say it's an honor, the job we're doing, and these people are doing absolutely incredible. I'll just add a couple of things. In Memphis, as you know, where the numbers are down in half already, and it's only been about 2 weeks. Doing a fantastic job there. Thank you. Incredible. Nobody thought it was possible. It was really it was a very sick city. It was horrible what happened there. People would go from, if you're on the board of FedEx, they would ride you 1 block to the hotel. They said you couldn't walk it because it was too dangerous, and they're already feeling better about it. But the best example right now is Washington, D.C. We went from one of the most unsafe places in the planet, I hate to say, but in this country, to a totally safe city. It's nothing's crime-free, I guess, but this is about as close to crime-free as you're going to get. And you guys have done an incredible job with that. Every one of you have worked so hard on this one, and it's our nation's capital. And people would go to the nation, they'd go from, I always say, Iowa, Indiana. They'd go from Florida, they'd come up, they want to see the monument. I want to see the Lincoln Memorial. I want to see one of the monuments, any one of them, and they'd go home in a coffin. But not anymore. It's not happening anymore. We haven't had that happen in a long time. It was averaging more than one a week, one person a week. Who would think that's possible? And it hasn't happened anymore. And we have a safe city. We have a city where the restaurants are booming. People are going out. Nobody's being mugged, hit over the head with a baseball bat. None of the stuff is gone. We took out 1,700 criminals, many of them career criminals, many of them given to us by Joe Biden and his ridiculous open borders policy. They came in from jails from all over the world, not just South America, from all over the world. Jails, they came in from mental institutions and insane asylums all over the world, drug dealers, and we got them the hell out of here. They're either that, or if they're so bad, as I said before, we put them in jail because we can't take a chance that they come back. But I want to just say that Washington, D.C. is such an example of what could be done. And now the same thing's happening in Memphis. We're just halfway through the process, and already the numbers are far superior, far better than what we would have thought at this time. And Chicago, I just saw the number last week. It was last weekend. 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. And then I have this guy Pritzker, is a very weak governor. Let me be nice. I'm going to be very nice. He's extremely weak. He's pathetic. I have Pritzker get up and say how great they're doing in Chicago. They're doing very poorly. So 4 were murdered, 11 were shot. I would say, and that was not a bad week for him. okay? That was not a bad week. He said somewhere 18 or 19 were murdered. And you know what his excuse was? Yeah, but that was a long weekend, okay? Can you believe it? He said that was a long weekend. He's bad. And the mayor is worse. I mean, that mayor is worse. Low IQ, very low IQ. And we don't need low IQ people. We need people that are going to take care. And I love Chicago, and I love those beautiful women, black women, beautiful women wearing MAGA hats. And they're all over the place in Chicago. They want protection. They don't care if it's the National Guard, if it's the Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Marines. They'll take Space Force, okay? Space Force, send them in. They just don't want to be mugged, killed, raped, shot in the head, and we stop it.
Guys,
So
we got
we're
some
gonna-
breaking news. We do believe Terry Rozier's lawyer is speaking. This is on this investigation into gambling. We'll go to this right now live.
They wanted to have a little arrest, a little perp walk, a little support of their press conference up in New York, and it was completely avoidable.
So you're saying there's no evidence?
Oh, I think we've got a great case to try. Don't worry about that part. I'm just talking about the bottom line of letting marketing drive a decision as to whether to disrupt somebody's life and arrest them. It didn't have to happen. He could have walked
So
into
him
New
not
York.
playing last night, that had nothing to do with this. Do you have any indication that this was coming?
No, not a word. And, you know, he's coming off a hamstring injury, so we just took it as kind of more of the same with the injury healing up.
Did he fake an injury on March 23rd, 2023?
No, you know what's critical about all this? And our day will come, but he had medical follow-up in the days after. He had a bunch of people that he appropriately confided in that he had an injury, and he didn't play another game. You know, the Hornets were out of the playoffs. He's a veteran that's been there. He's like, why am I going to make this injury worse? I shouldn't be playing, and that's exactly what happened. He didn't play like the last 7 or 8
Have you
games.
never told Mr. Laster that he was going to remove himself early from that game?
I'm not going to get into the triable components of this, the parts that we're going to have to fight about someday. I'm just telling you, this is not John Tay Porter.
Can you go over the conditions of his release?
Was reviewed by the FBI prior to the arrest. Do you know if any of that information was relayed to you prior to this part of the investigation?
What I can tell you is there's a lot of people that are very close-lipped about what happened in 2023, but what I was told is there was an investigation. They interviewed him twice. They took his phone, downloaded everything, and at the end of the day, they said there's nothing to see here and cleared him. And that was a very professional investigation. It wasn't something that was perfunctory. You had FBI agents, you had a vice president within the NBA that was a former prosecutor in SDNY. So it was the real deal. They looked at the same stuff and they said there's nothing here, but we got a trophy hunt, so we're going to fight it.
Do you think it's fair that he's supposed to be the face of this whole arrest and everything? Do you think it's fair that he's the face?
That was Attorney James Trusty representing Mr. Terry Rozier outside the federal courthouse here in Orlando. We also saw Mr. Rozier's mother walk out, and now he's...
I'm not sure what you're talking about. He didn't have any contact with John Tay Porter. This case is not John Tay Porter, period. Nothing to do with that.
So when you said limited contact, what did you mean that contact?
What time should we expect him out today, sir? He's going to get out tonight. Just confirm that, right, Mr. Trusty?
He will be released today.
He will be released today. Where was he taken earlier? Seminole?
All right, folks, just want to give you an update. We do have an interview tonight at 8 o'clock. A Hornets beat writer is going to join us tonight to talk about this huge gambling investigation, but more than 30 people have been tied to this, including NBA head coach Chauncey Billups, as you heard, as well as Terry Rozier, who's on some type of hamstring injury type of leave in the middle of a season. And we do know that NBA player Damon Jones is involved in this as well. I'm sure more names will be released, but multiple indictments just released earlier today, again, involving Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, who once played here in Charlotte, was a fan favorite, I do believe. But all about this is this gambling investigation, and there's more revelations to come from this. Again, we're going to have more for you tonight at 8 o'clock with one of the Hornets beat writers. You heard Terry Rozier's attorney speak about John Tay Porter. That young man was banned for life, I do believe, from the NBA for violating gambling policies in 2024. There was numerous things that came out from that, and really the NBA at that time making, I guess, some type of statement by banning him for life at the time. So interesting that more of this came up. And as I'm reading more about this investigation, it seems like this is tied to some very illicit and illegal gambling rings that may involve the mafia as well. This is coming from USA Today. So an illegal poker operation that more people are learning more about, and that is really wrapping more individuals up from the NBA and potentially could be outside the NBA as well, as we begin to learn a little bit more from this. We're going to go back to the president speaking with, I do believe, Attorney General Pam Bondi and others with his administration at this time.
It's like the mayor of San Francisco and I are going to be meeting on fentanyl in a few weeks and working hand in hand on that. Secretary Noem spoke to him. But the results of this last month have been historic. As the president said, in the last month, think about this, 3,200, more than 3,200 violent gangs and drug dealers have been taken off the streets. Off the streets. Now, Director Patel and all of these agencies have also been working so hard on getting the leadership. But we are getting all the gang members off the streets and the drug dealers, Sinaloa, CJNG, MS-13, and more, TDA. 91 tons of drugs have been seized as a result of this task force. We tried to put this in perspective for you. This would be filling 4 18-wheelers for all the drugs just in the last month that have been taken off the streets. 58,000 kilos of cocaine. Think about a big backyard swimming pool. That would fill 1.5 swimming pools. Just the powder cocaine that has been removed, saving lives this last month, thanks to all of these people around the table. 2,300 kilos of fentanyl powder and 2.1 million fentanyl pills off the streets. And as the president said, more than 1,000 illegal guns. The Biden administration was, for way too long, all of these great law enforcement officers surrounding the table were not able to do their jobs. What they've said is now they've been uncuffed. They can do their jobs now. We've been watching transnational gangs grow in our country, become organized, set up infrastructure in all of our states, but no longer under President Trump. We are destroying the infrastructure, and we're no longer on defense. All of these great men and women are on offense, so they better get ready. We're dismantling the cartels, and we are taking the leaders into custody and all of the gangs. We are going to supercharge this work. This is not a pilot program. This is permanent. We are here to stay. And Secretary Hegseth, we couldn't do this without you and the Department of War. Thank you all so much for everything you're doing around this table, working tirelessly. And President Trump, thank you for giving them the ability to do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, since the year 2000, we have lost over 1 million Americans to drugs, to overdoses, to these cartels that have proliferated that kind of a disease on our people and have gone to war with our next generation of Americans. When you signed the executive order that was protecting the American people from invasion, what you did is that you took these cartels and gangs that we've known for decades and you declared them to be what they really are, and that's terrorists. You declared war on them, and you didn't say we were just going to fight them. You said we are going to destroy them. And everybody around this table is so honored to be here to work with you to destroy these terrorists that have been killing Americans for years and getting rich off of it. I'm so proud of the work that was done just in the September surge. You referenced that earlier. We had over 400 operations that went down in those first 43 days of the Homeland Security Task Force in operations that brought, as Pam referenced, 3,200 terrorists to justice, got them off the streets. Sir, we also have had over precursors and chemicals that were brought in. We've had the work at the southern border. We've got Border Patrol here at the table with you. Fentanyl has been cut down by 50% coming into this country over our borders. We've continued to work not just nationally, but internationally and on our maritime borders as well. The ICE agents that have so much violence against them and threats against them, sir, they get up every day ready to work with this task force to be able to keep people safe. And then we've got Coast Guard, who's been doing just a ton of our incredible interdictions out on the seas and the waters in cooperation with operations that you've targeted in the Caribbean with the Department of War. And sir, I just want to thank you for the leadership you put at this table, for your cabinet members, for Stephen Miller, for putting this in place to make sure that what you did when you consolidated the Homeland Security Task Force, you took 1,000 other task forces that were already established in the federal government and you streamlined them into this room, into this group right here, so that we can look at each other in the face every day and say, what's our problem? How do we address it? How do we fix it? And then we go to work together with our arms linked to do exactly what you told us to do. And that's not just protect the American people from invasion, but to kill these terrorists. You gave us the task to eliminate them, destroy them, so that they can't destroy the next generation of Americans. So thank you, sir. Thank you for the people you put around this table.
Thank you very much. That's a great job. Thank you. Pete?
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Chief, likewise, Tulsi and Todd and Dan and Pam and Christy and Stephen and Cash. I mean, I could go around the table. From the Department of War, we are thankful and grateful for the incredible effort that your agencies put in. And we could not be more proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, not superficially, not kind of over here, but front and center on the Homeland Security Task Force, right there with you. Because our department has spent over 2 decades defending other homelands, and we're very proud to be defending our own. And if you talk to the troops down, say, on the southwest border, Mr. President, morale is sky high and continues to be, because they're proud to be defending their own communities, their own state, and their own country. So when that executive order was signed, the mission was clear: protecting the American people against invasion. And so the Department of War went straight to the southwest border. We still have 10,000 troops there. We have national defense areas. We're standing along Border Patrol, and we've locked that border down, 100% control of the southwest border. You stop the invasion. And then we're proud to be going on the offense, counter-cartel operations. And it's not counter-cartel, as was mentioned. These are designated terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations. Our generation spent the better part of 2 decades hunting Al-Qaeda, hunting ISIS. Well, as the President said, this is the ISIS, this is the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. They intimidate, they terrorize, they extort, they poison the American people. The President's right. Every boat we strike is 25,000 Americans whose lives are saved because of the drugs that were headed in our direction. So our message to these foreign terrorist organizations is: we will treat you like we have treated Al-Qaeda. We will find you, we will map your networks, we will hunt you down, and we will kill you. And you've seen that evidence in the maritime domain, whether it's in the Caribbean or in the Pacific with the last 2 strikes. We know exactly who these people are. We know what networks they work with, what foreign terrorist organizations they're a part of. We know where they're going, where they originated from, what they're carrying. And they know we know. And that will soon start to change the calculus of these boats. So the critique of this is, of course, as often is the case, wrong. We know our authorities. It's locked tight. And we're going to treat them like foreign terrorist organizations on the offense. So the Department of War is not going to degrade or just simply arrest. We're going to defeat and destroy these terrorist organizations to defend the homeland on behalf of the American people, making the jobs of law enforcement safer in the process, making the communities of Americans safer in the process. We think it's a very core mission of the Department of War, and we're proud to be here, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Pete. Thank you. Tulsi, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The key reason that you are hearing about these incredible effects is, number one, the team that you've assembled here and the leadership and the tone that you have set, first and foremost, about keeping the American people safe. The intelligence community plays a critical role in being able to support our law enforcement at the federal, state, and local level to make sure that they are armed with actionable intelligence to be able to actually go after those who threaten the safety and security of the American people. Mr. President, under your leadership, for the first time, there is a newly created National Intelligence Fusion Cell at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, National Counterterrorism, that has a very simple purpose: to make sure that we have two-way intelligence sharing of actionable information between the intelligence community and law enforcement. I want to talk briefly about 3 successes that we've had just here in the last few weeks, Mr. President, through the success of this interagency fusion cell. Just this last week, our National Counterterrorism Center supported, through actionable intelligence to both U.S. law enforcement as well as Mexican law enforcement, the arrest of a Sinaloa cartel boss, El Plato, in Juarez, Mexico, as well as his top 3 money launderers. In a separate and recent successful interagency operation, NCTC worked closely with the U.S. Marshals Service that led to the arrest of another dangerous Sinaloa cartel member responsible for tracking huge amounts of cocaine and hundreds of thousands of dollars in this single incident with drug proceeds through his network. I'll say the last example I'll share is probably the most insidious, was providing intelligence to the Mexican law enforcement that led to the arrest of a CJNG cartel-affiliated baby trafficker called La Diabla. Her whole money-making operation was centered around luring pregnant women, performing illegal C-sections, harvesting organs, and selling newborn babies. Mr. President, it's your leadership that has made all of this possible. I can tell you, in the midst of this government shutdown, our folks, like everyone around this table, are working 24/7 without pay and eager to get after this because they believe in your leadership and the mission that you have presented to them. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll hand this off to Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller, the leader of this task force.
Let me just say, Mr. President, that this country was going to die without you. This country was going to actually die without you. That's what we were facing in 2024. We've been invaded for 4 years. Our communities were sinking. Our public safety had gone to zero. Cartels were running entire communities. Sex trafficking, child trafficking, labor trafficking was out of control. Overdoses were out of control. The cartels were claiming more and more territory. City services were buckling. This was a country on the verge of dying, and you alone saved it. And when you stepped forward originally in 2016, you started the movement to make America great again. And that means make America great again in every way. And that means safety and prosperity and peace and freedom from cartels and crime and gangs. And your vision and your leadership in declaring war on the drug cartels is the single most successful public safety initiative in American history. And I need the media to understand what President Trump has done. People have been talking about drug cartels for longer than I've been alive. And everyone has just taken for granted that they can't be touched or stopped. They're too big, they're too powerful, they're too evil, they're too murderous. They can operate with impunity. And in just 9 months, President Trump is the only American leader, not just in our lifetimes, but ever, to actually take the fight to the drug cartels, to actually seek their eradication. And it is happening. And so while the Democrats are shutting the government down and fighting for free health care for illegal aliens, look at what President Trump has assembled here. He's assembled a team under his vision, direction, and leadership that is saving hundreds of thousands of lives. Hundreds of thousands of lives. And only President Trump could have done this. And I will say one last thing, which is that his courage has been an inspiration to everyone else in this room. There are people in this room, looking at, for example, at Todd Lyons, who have been relentlessly doxxed and harassed and threatened. But when they see President Trump's courage, what he's been through for 10 years to save America, when they came after his family, his businesses, his safety, his freedom, everyone at this table knows we can give whatever it takes to get the mission done. So President Trump, thank you for your leadership, your boldness, your courage, and your vision. We're honored to serve underneath you.
Well, I want to thank you, Stephen. And I have to say that, I've been making the rounds. I'm leaving tomorrow for some very big meetings, including with the president of China, where I think we're going to come out very well, and everyone's going to be very happy. But everybody said the same thing. A year ago, we had a dead country. We were a dead country. We really were, in a lot of ways, not just this. We were dead as doornails on this, but we were a country that was in serious trouble and beyond that. And we have the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. The whole world is talking about it. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're going to clear up this crime in our cities. We can do it quickly, too. They showed how quickly we could do it in D.C. It was a real bad place. It was a real mess. Dirty, filthy, disgusting, graffiti all over the place, tents on every ounce of parks that we had. Just disgusting. And I rode around last weekend. I rode around the city. I felt very safe in that car, but, I would have done it without it. I wouldn't need that car so much anymore, I will tell you. But the place was clean. We've started that also, not only law and order, but the cleanliness is important. I think cleanliness is almost a part of law and order. If you see dirty, disgusting streets and potholes all over the place and railings falling down and graffiti all over the marble, beautiful statuary marble columns, those gorgeous columns where they had graffiti. It's all gone. And I think it's a part of it. I really do. I think it's a big part of it. But we have a city that we can be proud of. We're going to be that way with every city we have. That's why with San Francisco, I wish them luck, but we could do it so much faster. I told the mayor, I love what you're doing. I respect it, and I respect the people that are doing it. They're the biggest people in the country. They're the biggest people in the world. A lot of the high tech. Some people like them, some people don't, but they're smart, and they want to do it. And I said, I am so honored to let you do it, and if it doesn't work out, we'll do it for you very quickly. But I just want to thank the people around this table are amazing. Cash, please go ahead.
Mr. President, I'll just keep it short, but I think what the media should realize is the amount of courage it takes to do this, and you led that mission. You led it during your campaign, and you brought it to the American people. I think the media should focus on some of these numbers the Attorney General just riled off. Those aren't numbers, those are lives. Lives saved by the millions, enough enough fentanyl to kill over 200 million Americans, gone, evaporated, off our streets permanently. Your vision to safeguard American freedoms and our children and our future is the most courageous thing I've ever seen a president of the United States ever do. And your ability to marshal it out in 8 months, these statistics would have taken other administrations decades. And the partnership that you see around the table, I just want to, sum it up with the following. When I call these folks around the table, when I call our state and local law enforcement partners who have been absolutely critical to this mission, when Stephen Miller called me and said we're going to create the Homeland Security Task Force and the FBI and DHS are going to co-lead it, I said absolutely. The country's been yearning for this and needing it. And the one thing I see different than any other administration is when I call these people, they pick up. I don't get a voicemail. When I make an ask, they answer. And the same is true. And so the FBI is playing a pivotal role in your administration.